Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the City Commission meeting. Today is November 29th, 2021, and the time is 5 p.m. We will begin this meeting, as we always do, with a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Mr. President, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will read the rules of civility and decorum which govern these meetings. Officials shall be recognized by the chair and shall not interrupt a speaker. Public comment shall be addressed to the City Commission as a whole and not to any individual on the dais or in the audience. Displays of anger, rudeness, ridicule, impatience, lack of respect, and personal attacks are strictly prohibited. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, and similar demonstrations should not be permitted. Offenders may be removed from the meeting. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Thank you. Ms. Johnson, are there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Very good, thank you. We will now go through the consent calendar. We do have a couple of cards. I'll check with the commissioners first. Are there any comments on any items on the consent calendar? Okay. Sandy Makovich, items 6.4 and 6.9.
Oh, yeah. Sandy Makovich, West Palm Beach. People stood up here and told you if you passed this, you were going to get sued. It's good to know we were right. You got sued for passing the panhandling, the poorest of the poor in the city of West Palm Beach. $500 fine is 60 days in jail. So you got sued, good. 8.2, you're going to repeal it. That's even better. Commissioners, you need to stop and think of what you're voting on. If it doesn't sound right, please shelve it, investigate it. A few years ago, then Commissioner James wanted the city to hire an outside attorney for just the commissioners, and a budget was set up for it. I don't know if that's in effect. Look into it. If it doesn't sound right, you have an attorney out there that will direct you. If the city's right, they'll tell you. If the city's wrong, they should tell you that too. Don't take the word of everything that comes out of their mouths, because a good deal of the time they're wrong. Please, investigate. We voted you people to look out for us. Not the mayor, not the city administrator, not the city attorney, not the chief of police, us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sandy Makovich, 6.9.
I don't know what that is. Oh, Sandy Makovich, West Palm Beach. This, it's a resolution to amend the city salary plan for 21-22 by creating the job classification of internal audit manager. The internal auditor brings to the Commissioner's attention and the city mistakes that every department has made. At one time or another, every department has made a mistake. It's the city auditor's job to bring it to your attention so that you can fix the problem, okay? This department is vital to this city. Their personnel went from 5 people auditing this whole city down to the 2 people. All the other auditors quit. They left. They resigned, pushed out, whatever. They're gone. The city commissioners oversee the city auditor. Thank God it has nothing to do with the mayor or the city administrator. You folks have to have, I know you're smiling, James, like, I know what I said was funny. You have more to say than you should, okay? You need to fully fund this department. You need to get enough staff so that Ms. Mahasa can do her job. Hopefully, changing the classification to the audit manager will keep the one person she has left on staff on the job. Now, do your job and get this place properly funded with the people needed to do the job. Again, thank you.
Thank you very much. We have no other cards on consent. I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the consent calendar.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.1, resolution number 65-21, approving the Local Housing Assistance Plan, LHAP, for program years 2021, 2022, and 2023. Ms. Ferriero.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners, members of the public, and City Administration. Jennifer Ferriero, Director of Housing and Community Development. Uh-oh. Thank you. Commissioners, Mayor, as you are aware, the City of West Palm Beach, we are a recipient of state funds from the state of Florida for the State Housing Initiatives Partnership Program. As you know, the William E. Sadowski Affordable Housing Act was enabled in 1992, and it allocated a certain portion of the documentary stamp taxes on real estate transactions to be dedicated to the state's local housing trust fund. And that funding is then provided to eligible local governments to provide or produce or preserve affordable housing for low to moderate income households. As a condition of receiving those dollars, we are required by state law to produce a document known as the Local Housing Assistance Plan, which in essence outlines all of the activities that are going to be undertaken over a 3-year period. As you will see, I wanted to show you a little bit about the allocations that we have received over the years, and I know that this governing body is very well aware of the sweeps on the Sadowski funds and the issues that we have had over the years at the state level. As you can see in 2021, under the Sadowski legislation that was passed, SB 25112, they've made some changes to how those funds are going to be appropriated, and we can now at least guarantee that we're going to get a certain percentage on an annual basis. $771,000 in the current fiscal year, which is the largest appropriation that we've seen in a very long time. So this plan, we try it, and how we develop it is to make sure that we develop it as broad as possible. Not every project is going to be the same, so we want to create as much flexibility as we can within the plan itself, and also to state that this particular funding source is one of the more flexible funding sources that we have, and the resources that we're able to use are the most flexible. To keep it big picture, some of the strategies that are proposed in the current plan, and that we have also undertaken in previous years, include the homeowner rehabilitation strategy, which we have used for our rehabilitation program to provide up to $80,000 for eligible home repairs for individuals who meet specific criteria. We have used this funding, and we will have the ability to do so for demolition or reconstruction strategy. This means that in the event that we are in the process of rehabbing a home and we identify that the property needs to be demolished as opposed to being rehabbed, that we have the resources to demolish the property, relocate the individual, and complete the reconstruction on the site. We can use the funding for purchase assistance, which can provide down payment and closing costs to individuals who are going to be first-time homebuyers, and we can also do rehabilitation under that if needed on the particular property. We also have a construction/redevelopment homeownership strategy. This is when we work with developers to construct new housing for homeownership purposes, or we have also worked with various nonprofit organizations. And we have done that, and we will continue to do that in the future. Some other strategies, rental strategies that we're able to employ is a multifamily rental housing strategy, where we could provide funding for developers to assist with either construction or any soft costs for affordable housing purposes. A project that I could think of at the top of my head where we've used SHIP dollars is the Vernia site project. We were able to use these funds to support that. The rapid rehousing strategy, this is very critical to addressing our homeless population and their housing needs. And we assist this funding for first or last month's rent or rental assistance up to 12 months and or utility deposits for individuals who are homeless or have the possibility of becoming homeless. So this funding has been really, really essential to us in making some improvements in that area. We also have under this plan a proposed disaster strategy, and that is that under the event that either the President of the United States or the Governor of Florida declares a national or an emergency, we have the ability to use funding for either to purchase emergency supplies in the event that there's a hurricane, to do interim repair assistance, to provide assistance for insurance deductibles. We've also used this funding during the current pandemic to assist individuals with making their rent payments. So we've had the ability to do that, and we will have that in the forthcoming, or in the current plan that we're discussing. And so with that said, I respectfully ask for City Commission to approve Resolution 6521, approving the city's local housing assistance plan for the program years 2021, 2022, and 2023. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to address them at this time.
Thank you very much,
you.
Ms. Ferriero. Commissioner Schoaf, and then Commissioner Warren, and Commissioner Fox.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I just want to make sure I understand initially. So we're looking at approximately $750,000 over the next 3 years to go to these specific programs, correct? And we're, I don't know, guaranteed may be too strong of a word, but as of right now, the situation looks like we will have that funding available.
We have that funding available. It's already the 771. We actually got it in the fiscal year that starts on July 1st, 2021, and will end on June 30th, 2022. That's the state fiscal year. So those funds we've already received. We are expecting to receive another allocation for the period that will start July 1st, 2022. So this is just for 1 year.
Excellent. And so when we're looking at these programs, how will we administrate those programs? How would our residents apply for that kind of funding? How would we determine? We still do have limited resources in this pool of funds, so I doubt we could fully fund all of those programs.
Right.
Would it be on a first-come, first-served basis? Is there somewhere people would go to sign up? Have we gotten to that part of this planning?
Not yet. Not yet, but the funds have been appropriated through the budget process. We have appropriated the funding. So we always take 10% of the funding for administrative costs. That's to be able to pay staff salary. There's a lot of planning work that needs to take place just to be able to carry these programs forward. We've also set aside, I believe it's $100,000 for rental assistance for our homeless population. That is a huge need in our city, and I think that this commission would support that, or it has supported that. And the other funding that we've set aside for is for construction of new housing. I want to state that while these funds are flexible, there are certain set-asides that we have to meet, and one of them is a construction and a homeownership set-aside. So we have to meet that, and we can accomplish that through the construction of new housing units that are going to be ultimately occupied by a home buyer. Because of where the real estate market is right now, that seems to be the best program for us to look at. We have to create the housing stock. There is no housing stock. We can provide down payment assistance, but if there's no housing availability, our residents and the future homeowners of our city can take advantage of it. So that's really what we want to focus on. We want to put out a solicitation and work with nonprofit organizations to develop the housing, and then make that available on a first come, first served, first qualified basis to eligible residents in our city.
Thank you. And so as you develop that plan, is that something that comes back to this commission to review? I mean, certainly the programs you've stated are really great, but I know in the past we've talked about, particularly speaking from District 1, there's a lot of homes that have just deteriorated over time that are readily available housing stock that if they got some TLC would be back and ready for an affordable homeowner in an affordable neighborhood.
Yep. And so two parts to your question. Absolutely a need that's needed. That's why we have one of the strategies where repairs are also part of, you could get down payment assistance and then repair assistance for the properties. But not just that, we have a very old housing stock in our city, and the existing residents, particularly the elderly populations and very low income populations, it's very difficult for them to do the kind of repairs that are needed on their properties. Because we haven't had that much funding over the last 4 years, it's difficult to open up a program where individuals may need $80,000 for repairs, but we've only received $190,000. I mean, we can really only help maybe one or two households. So now that we have this funding, that's another avenue that we can explore, because there's absolutely a need, especially with the aging infrastructure that we have in our city.
Thank you.
Commissioner Warren?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ferriel, for bringing forward this very comprehensive local housing assistance plan that has several very important components. I think that they're all wonderful, and I'm happy to see them here. When I see the maximum amount the maximum award amount, is that per application? So
it depends. So for example, for the homeowner occupied, it's up to $80,000 for household, but under the reconstruction homeownership development, it's per unit. Sometimes it's per project. It really depends on the strategy. And again, we want to be as flexible as possible. That doesn't necessarily mean that'll be the maximum that we'll put out. For example, with our residential rehabilitation program, we really have it maxed at $50,000. That's the policy that we have. But we also have a little bit of flexibility on an as-needed basis to go a little bit over that, because there are some situations where, again, we have elderly individuals that may need more repairs than we anticipated. So there's, we try to buy some wiggle room, but we're more conservative in our numbers or in the awards when the actual projects are made available.
thank you. Do you know, and this may be a random question to see if you know offhand, but do you know how many people we've assisted through this program with homeownership?
A lot.
A lot.
in
That's a
previous
great
years.
answer.
I don't have an exact number, but I will get that to you for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much for bringing this to us. My main question also concerned how renters and owners would find out about the programs, and you've answered that. But I wanted to ask you about the timeline. Do we need to use these funds by June of, or it can be ongoing projects, even though you said that there was, I guess we were on the state's timeline of July to June, but we don't have to use the funds in that time, that we can put them into projects that will be continuing?
Yes, so we have a 2-year commitment deadline and then a 3-year expenditure deadline. So we have 3 whole years to expend the dollars, have the units occupied, and then make that reporting or provide that reporting documentation to the state. So it is 3 years.
And so if we will find out again, I guess in July of 2023, what our next allotment will be, or will we find out before that? Do we apply for that? I'm just trying to figure out, I know that you said some of these things are complicated because we don't have the land right now, but I'm just wondering, can we be thinking ahead in terms of what we were putting the money towards for the next pot of money? When will we find out what that number will be?
So we will know around, once the session begins, we'll have an idea of what those funds are going to be sometime around. Typically, we'll have an idea sometime March, April, around that time frame. Of course, the numbers are not solidified until after the session and the budget is approved, but we'll know around that time frame. I want to add that also, a lot of what we're discussing here, we use other funding sources as well to supplement these projects, whether it's the HUD dollars, our local housing trust fund. We try to mirror a lot of the things that we do with different funding sources so that we have a variety of it. We develop our programs based on need, not necessarily based on funding. So this is just what we're required to do by the state, but there are other funding resources or opportunities for us to assist these kinds of efforts outside of the state and the dollars that are appropriated in this manner. Did I answer your question, Commissioner? You sure? Okay.
Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you. I have two questions, and thank you, Ms. Ferriel, for the presentation. First is, are these funds available citywide to our residents? It's not designated to certain parts of the city?
That is correct.
Wonderful, thank you. And then I appreciate hearing that we'll see more details about how we're administering this, how we're getting this out to the community. And I know that in discussions about some of these programs in the past that we've come into some problems when either there's difficulties with translation of the information to certain residents, as well as just residents who maybe don't have everything that they need in place to be able to apply for this, but those are exactly the kinds of residents that we want to help. So I don't know if we already have things in place to help overcome that, or if that will be part of this administration processing plan. And, just thinking ahead and thinking about what we've done, I know that like Craig Glover has talked to me a lot about what they've worked with in RISE and helping to get these mortgage assistance and down payment assistance in place. Are we partnering with organizations like that for these types of programs?
Yes to both questions. So yes, we continue to work with organizations like North End Rise and the neighborhood groups, and anytime we make funding or projects or programs available, we try to get the word out through those channels. But I will say that we just had an audit by HUD, and they were looking at all of our programs, and they looked at, one of the things that they do look at is how are we getting the word out? Are we reaching hard to reach communities? And one of the things that they have asked us to complete, and we will bring that to you, I think at the next commission meeting, that agreement with HUD, is to develop a plan for how we're going to reach other individuals in our city that don't speak English. So are we going to do more outreach in Spanish? Are we going to do more outreach in Creole and other languages? So that is something that we had committed to doing with HUD with your approval. So we'll have a more comprehensive plan put in place so then we could implement not just our HUD programs, but all of our housing programs and follow that framework.
Thank you.
Ms. Ferriel, do we know why the number in this last year was so much higher than in previous years? Is the legislature finally getting it, that there's a tremendous need for these funds?
Yeah, so they've set a specific percentage aside. So now 9.7% of the fees that are collected through the real estate stamp taxes, 9.7% are going to go to the housing trust fund. And then out of that, 70% of that will go for the SHIP housing assistance program. So we've been swept in essence, but now we have, because initially it was supposed to be a way larger number, but at least now we have a more identified specific number that we know for sure we're going to receive. I'm pretty sure that a lot of the housing advocates are going to advocate to change that again so that we can continue to maintain the integrity of what the Sadowski funds.
To a larger number, change it to a larger number.
Yes, increase that to what it should be. But as of right now, 771 is, again, it's better than what we've seen in a very long time.
Great. Thank you very much. Any other questions? If not.
Mayor, I have a comment through the portal before you give a motion.
Oh, Oh, something in the portal, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
This comment is from Ross Harness, 312 23rd Street, West Palm Beach. I oppose. The local housing assistance plan misses the mark without accessory dwelling units. With the goal to meet the housing needs of low-income households, I believe ADUs are a neglected need in the proposed plan. The state of Florida recognized the use of ADUs and has statutes encouraging their use. Statute 163.31771 authorizes localities to permit ADUs in all single-family residential zones, and those ADUs may apply towards satisfying the affordable housing needs of the city's comprehensive plan. In addition, a 2002 constitutional amendment encourages cities to provide tax incentives to those who build ADUs. The city is behind in implementing both directives. Regarding ADUs in the Lhap, they are only mentioned in Incentive Strategy E, saying the city would explore the opportunities of ADUs citywide where it's allowed per zoning guidelines. The problem with this strategy is ADUs are only allowed in SF-14 zoning districts and certain segments of mixed-use categories. Focusing on Northwood, where I live, only about 15% of the region is zoned as ADU allowed in SF-14. This is an area that is in dire need of affordable housing and infill development, yet the current zoning does not allow for enough ADUs. Even for SF-14, referring to as high-density residential, codes are quite restrictive and minimize density, only allowing one additional unit and must provide a parking spot, which increases per-unit cost. Looking at other areas of the LPAP lacking ADUs, Strategy C, multifamily rental housing strategy designed to promote the production of affordable housing with funds to support new construction, mentions ADUs as one of the qualifying unit types. Strategy F, construction and redevelopment, home ownership, which restricts out ADUs. The proposed local housing assistance plan should be looked at once again to be more inclusive of ADUs. This plan is through 2024. With the current and forecast explosive growth in the city, it is paramount ADUs are revisited for the current edition.
Thank you. Ms. Fredo, do you care to respond about ADUs and the use of ADUs and why
I'm
they
happy to.
are or not a part of our strategy?
Yes, Mayor, I'm happy to do that. As a part of developing our local housing assistance plan, every year we have an Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, and Commissioner Schoaf, you're currently on that committee. And one of we're tasked to review about 12 incentives that could help us as a city incentivize the development of affordable housing. One of them being exploring the ability of incentivizing affordable accessory dwelling units, which is in essence like a mom and pop. What do they call those? Mother-in-law suites? I think that's the term that's utilized. And so we do have that currently within our building regulations in specific areas of our city. Unfortunately, because of the time of the many different incentives that we have to look at, it's really hard to look at that citywide, and if we can look at our code and implement that citywide, which is why we stated we will explore it in other areas where reasonable, but we just didn't have enough time in the short time frame that we have to put this plan together to look at every specific incentive and implement every incentive that the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee wanted us to look at. Again, it's something that we want to explore, but we need a little bit more time to formulate something like that.
Okay, very good. Any other questions, comments on this item? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 65-21.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. There is none, so motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Ferrier. Item 7.2, resolution number 221-21, authorizing the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach to approve a neighborhood project participation agreement for Phase 2 to plant trees in the El Cid neighborhood, and resolution number 251-21F, authorizing the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, to accept and appropriate funds in the amount of $21,140 for Phase 2 of the El Cid Neighborhood Association tree planting project.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners, City Administrator. Leah Rockwell, Director of Parks and Recreation. We are really excited to bring Phase 2 of this project to the City Commission for consideration, and we're collaborating with our own planning department and the neighborhood to make this happen. So with that being said, I am going to pass this on to Ray Crancy from our planning department to share with you the project.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner, City Administrator. Ray Caranci, Senior Landscape Planner, Planning Division, Development Services Department. This has been an ongoing project in El Cid, and we have some very dedicated residents there who are really excited about this and have done the bulk of the work on this, and with the Parks and Recreation Department have put this together in all of these phases. So it's kind of been a model for, you know, if the neighborhood gets involved, what we can do with city staff and with the funding that we have available. Resolution number 221-21, approving an agreement with the El Cid Historic Neighborhood Association regarding funding toward the El Cid Tree Planting Project Phase 2 and approving the Face of the City design features for the project. And resolution number 251-21F, providing funding for the project. Just a little bit of history we wanted to give you here. In 2019, this started with a pilot project, 7 palm trees paid out of the Parks Division budget. It was a total cost of $8,823 approximately. Just to get a feel for what we could do and get a start on some planting of, at that point it was palms. In 2020, the El Cid Tree Planting Project Phase 1 was approved. That was 63 trees planted in El Cid. The El Cid Neighborhood Association paid 50%, and the Tree Canopy Mitigation Fund paid 50%. Total cost was $95,000. These projects are a demonstration of staff collaborating with the neighborhood to plant trees with a commitment from individual residents to care for the trees, resulting in higher success rates. So the first projects have had a 95% survival success rate with the trees and the palms that were planted. So we're looking at the overall picture, trying to make this, if we're going to go through the effort and spend the money to try and make it as successful as possible. And as I said, a collaboration between the city and residents. Each resident requesting a tree signed an agreement to maintain the tree by signing an individual maintenance covenant, that they would basically adopt the tree and water it and take care of it to make sure that it was successful. Staff canvassed the neighborhood with resident Doug Taylor, establishing locations of trees. 36 trees and palms were agreed upon by the residents and the city. And this time we're down to very limited spaces within the neighborhood. So it's 1 silver buttonwood tree and 35 hurricane palms. The cost for the purchase and installation for the tree planting projects is $42,280. It is a 50-50 commitment between the city and the El Cid homeowners, half coming from the City Tree Canopy Mitigation Fund, and that is funded by the Landscape Management Reserve Fund. I'll explain more about that later. And $21,140 will come from the Historic El Cid Neighborhood Association, and the city will oversee and manage the project with the contractor to get the trees and palms planted and pay the contractor. Here's some photos. I don't know if you're familiar, silverwood buttonwood tree, which is a native tree, and then hurricane palm is non-native, but it is one that has a very good success rate within the neighborhoods. Just to clear this up a little bit too, the funding source, the Landscape Management Reserve receives funds from development projects that cannot replace all of the tree canopy removed on a site when the project is approved and constructed. This reserve fund is called the Tree Canopy Mitigation Fund for the purposes of depositing that money into it, and specifically by the code, it's required to be used to plant trees on public property, such as parks and city right-of-ways. Appropriations for this project will be transferred to the Parks and Recreation Department, Parks Maintenance Division General Fund budget, specifically for the purchase and planting of the trees by a landscape contractor hired by the city. So the maintenance covenants have been signed, as I said, from each homeowner to commit to watering and caring for the trees and palms. just as an idea for the future to let you know that staff is working on an equitable index to establish funding percentages for neighborhoods based on neighborhood characteristics such as income level, the existing tree canopy, and other characteristics that we've got the information on to try and compare and come up with an equitable index of how much of the designated tree canopy funds should be used and what the neighborhood maybe can contribute. Parks and Recreation, Sustainability, Planning, Engineering, and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods First Initiative will work together to establish the index for funding and public outreach to the neighborhoods for more tree canopy planting projects. And the commissioners, if you talk to your constituents in the neighborhoods and see, maybe we can get some excitement going that this is available, but we need the participation of the neighborhoods to really make this work and for it to be successful. So staff recommended motion is to approve resolutions number 221-21 and 251-21F. So any questions?
Thank you very much. Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much for bringing us Phase 2. I know that the residents in El Cid have been waiting a long time for this, and it's really exciting. I just wanted to go back to the points that you made about this being a model for other neighborhoods, and it's fantastic to hear that we are working on the equitable index, because I know there's other neighborhoods in my district and the whole city that would love to have more trees. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the participation that you would expect from a neighborhood. Is it just the financial participation, or is there something else that neighborhoods might be able to do to get on the radar and be higher on the list for the next neighborhoods to be getting the trees? Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe it's in your district for the Northwest neighborhood. There is a project in the works right now through Sustainability that is funded from a previous tree canopy improvement fund that should be, we're really hoping will be completed very soon. And in Sustainability, we have a new green infrastructure person that just started, so they're going to be, charging out there and trying to get some of these projects completed. So that is one that's in the works. And we've learned so much from trying to implement some of these, and particularly that project, in that, trying to get neighborhood participation is sometimes difficult depending on the neighborhood. People are busy, they have, a lot of obligations and are going about their lives. It's not something that, that they can take the extra time to do this. So we really, really would like the neighborhoods to participate and take the responsibility of getting these trees established so that we have a good success rate and it really does improve the neighborhood. So that's the big part there. The funding is the part where we're trying to find an equitable index that will, given all of the factors within a neighborhood, to see, maybe we can fund 100% of the tree planting. So staff is working on that, and it's an interdepartmental cooperative effort between all of the departments. So I think we've got enough experience now with some of the projects that we know a little bit better what we're looking for, so we can get the neighborhoods involved, and we can kind of sit down and talk with maybe the neighborhood representatives and see what they're willing to do.
Commissioner Schoaf and then Commissioner Lambert.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing this item forward. To you and the Sustainability Committee as the liaison, I know that group is very passionate about these tree planting projects and really actively work on them with you. Yeah. I'm very supportive of having these partnerships with the neighborhood, and I'm so glad you touched on the equitable index, because that was going to be one of my questions. Is we have a lot of neighborhoods that would really benefit from tree canopies, and in those neighborhoods there's a higher walkability, et cetera, that could really benefit from shade. So to the fact that we're looking at where we can partner and, again, still have that commitment from both sides, where someone's committing to water or take care of a tree. I guess I wanted to, again, not miss this opportunity to take the plug for a program that we've been talking about for a long time, which is to take some of the fees from nuisance abatement that happens in the neighborhoods and put it towards neighborhood activities. And I think this is a really great example because some of those neighborhoods mostly affected by kind of these zombie properties that are eventually put back into the hands of someone who's going to rehabilitate them and get their chronic nuisance fines reduced, could pay a portion of what it would take to help rehabilitate that neighborhood by helping to plant trees, which I think all works hand in hand in this particular instance. So I just didn't want that opportunity to go by without recognizing that I think that there are funding sources that we can go to in excess of the funding sources that you have available as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner-
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead,
Mayor.
Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
There are, this fund exists, it's a revenue fund just for tree canopy mitigations to strictly be used for that purpose. And from other funding sources, if people want to donate to it, if there's other funding sources that may be designated that can go into that fund, and it's already set up that way, so that is a possibility too.
Commissioner Lambert.
Thank you so much. And it is great to see that the ELSA Neighborhood Association is stepping up with such a large commitment to match this. And it sounds like we'll have further discussion on this program and the index that will be created. And similarly to my colleagues, I'm also interested in the equity and in the financial commitment, but also in these agreements that are being made. And I'd like to further discuss, it's great we have some neighborhoods that have very strong commitment to their neighborhood associations, and then we have some that have been trying to get it going for a long time. And I would just want to make sure that those commitments aren't lost, or the opportunity to have these trees aren't lost because they don't have a structured neighborhood association. Thank you. My other question for tonight is, how did we determine the types of trees that would be going in this area?
The Parks Operations, Todd Snyder, who is now the Assistant Parks and Recreations Director, worked with the neighborhoods and with the individuals, the residents. They were very active in this, so they really came up with the selections themselves, but I reviewed them as far as we were trying to go towards a native selection, but sometimes that's just not possible with the spaces involved. So the main thing was to make sure that whatever was chosen was appropriate for those spaces. So that was the main thing. And as far as the equity index, there's a number of factors that are considered, not only, income levels in the neighborhood, but also well, we'll get into this more later, but there's things that are linked to those, such as the amount of tree canopy in lower income neighborhoods tends to be very low. And then the health effects of the lack of tree canopy also tend to be not as good in those neighborhoods also. So there's a whole variety of sources of information that we already have, and through sustainability, actually, in a lot of the tree canopy studies, that we have all this information already. So we've just got to sit down and formulate and get this index made up so that we can offer those opportunities and have greater opportunities for neighborhoods that may not have the higher incomes or the tree canopy or the ability to make the commitment. Now we have expanded this, that when we make the agreements with the landscape contractors to install the trees, we have extended the time period from 6 months to 1 year of the watering, and that the contractor is going to be responsible for taking care of those trees. And we're hoping that extended period of time guarantees a better result, and maybe that then the residents will get interested and will take it up from there. In the instance of the Northwest Neighborhood Project, because that isn't a CRA neighborhood, we have the CRA committing to extending that time period to take care of the trees also.
President Peduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to follow up on Commissioner Lambert's question about the tree types, I see that there are certainly significantly more palms here than hardwoods. And is there a reason why we aren't pushing the utilization of more hardwoods when they offer a much greater tree canopy? And then I have a follow-up question regarding the palms.
All right, well, and this is a, this is a subject that has been in the news lately, obviously with the palms versus the trees. And the city code, the city landscape code does prefer native trees and hardwood trees to begin with. The problem is we're down to very few areas left, and I mean, maybe that's a good thing in this neighborhood, that all the possibilities have been exhausted as far as the hardwood tree spaces allowed. So now we're down to very small, narrow spaces where the palms are the only option. So it is that's the priority. So now we're down to pretty much the end of the selections.
And then in follow-up regarding the hurricane palms specifically, are they susceptible to this new fungus that's out that's killing, palm trees all over? I had to remove 3 myself, so.
No, and from all the recent information, there's only a couple species that are really susceptible, and most others there's not any documentation of finding and documenting the actual disease in these. So, and truthfully, it has not turned out to be as bad as some indications were to begin with. So we haven't seen it be as serious. We're losing some palms, but it's not at the level that that everybody thought it was going to be at. So I think that's probably good news.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 221-21 and resolution number 251-21F.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, let me address an issue. We have a very clear and distinct mask mandate. If you are in the chambers, you're to be wearing your mask, and I'm asking our police officers to enforce that. I see at least one individual who's not wearing their mask, and there are no exceptions to the rule. So if you're not wearing your mask, you need to leave. You need to sit down. You're not recognized. So, police officers, put it on. Where are my police officers? Will you excuse her, please? She's out of order. She's not abiding by the mask mandate. If you put your mask on, ma'am, you can stay. All right, that's even worse. In fact, you will not be coming back to this meeting.
You want to bet?
Not using profanity like that. Okay. Item 8.1, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 4981-21, a declaration of zoning in progress to allow parklets established under the temporary outdoor dining program to continue operation while revised parklet regulations are adopted.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Chris Kimmerly, Urban Design Planner. This is the second reading for the zoning in progress on parklets. There has been no change from the first.
Very good. Are there any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 4981-21, declaring a zoning in progress to allow parklets established under the temporary outdoor dining program to continue until revised parklet regulations are adopted or until November 15, 2022.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 4981-21, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, declaring a zoning in progress for parklets, permitting continued operation of parklets by businesses who have established them under the temporary outdoor dining program during the emergency measures of the COVID-19 pandemic until new regulations are approved, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, a sunset clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8.2, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 4983-21 regarding the repeal of sections 54-127-2, 3, and 5, and 54-147A1 pertaining to panhandling or soliciting in certain public areas of the city. Madam City Attorney?
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. This is second reading. There have been no changes since first reading. The repealed or the proposed repealed sections remain.
All right, are there any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 4983-21.
It's been moved, and is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 4983-21. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 54, Offenses, Article 4, Offenses Against Public Places, Division 2, Aggressive Solicitation, to repeal provisions which make certain new instances of panhandling or soliciting unlawful, including sections 54-127, 2, 3, and 5, and Division 3, Prohibited Conduct, Section 54-147, A, 1 of the City Code of Ordinances, providing a confidence clause and a severability clause, providing a codification clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Item number 8.3, public hearing and first reading of ordinance number 4984-21, amending the downtown master plan element of the comprehensive plan, creating the new Nora district.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor Ana Maria Ponte, City Urban Designer for the record. This is Ordinance 4984-21. It's a city-initiated request for a text amendment to the downtown master plan element of the comprehensive plan, modifying Policy 1.1.1, Policy 2.3.2, and Policy 3.1.3 to promote the redevelopment of the area between Quadrille Boulevard, Dixie Highway, Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, and the FEC right-of-way, creating the new North Railroad Avenue District, modifying the existing Brestford Park District, deleting the existing Industrial Chic District, designating additional incentive areas which allow additional height and development capacity within the North Railroad Avenue District, and designating 2 additional properties as urban open space. The subject area is all located within Commissioner District Number 3, Commissioner District Christie Fox. A little bit of background information. So you know, the downtown has experienced significant development in the last 15 years. In average, around 211 residential units have been built per year, and around 55,000 square feet of development of non-residential has been built in the last 15 years every year, on average. That has occurred mainly in the core of the downtown, the area that we recognize between Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard and Quadrille, Flagler, and Australian. That has not been the case of the area north of Quadrille Boulevard that I'm pointing out on the screen. In this time, the northeast portion of the downtown, north of Quadrille, has only seen limited investment. Only 2 major projects have been built in this area. The Lofting Place, that is a residential building built a couple of years ago, and more recently, the HSS facility built on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard. These 2 projects are east of Dixie Highway. The area west of Dixie Highway, between Dixie Highway and the FEC corridor, has seen basically none of that development that has occurred throughout the downtown area. The neighborhood that we know as Brestford Park and the Industrial Chic neighborhood basically remains dormant. In 2009, the Downtown Master Plan update envisioned this Industrial Chic area as a transitional district where light industrial could coexist with residential and commercial uses, but that vision of transforming these industrial warehouses into a more active uses for artists and alternative housing did not materialize. Large percentage of the properties in the neighborhood remain vacant. We have 38.6% of the properties in the neighborhood vacant. So you can see for the image on the screen, the yellow indicate the vacant parcels. The majority of these vacant parcels are located on the north side of the neighborhood, north of 10th Street. Industrial uses still occupy some of the warehouses along Railroad Avenue. And despite the alternative provisions that were placed in the code for more alternative uses, retail and commercial, that did not happen. So those uses, industrial, that are not really compatible with the residential neighborhood still remain in there. For the last several years, after seeing that the regulations that were implemented in 2009 did not really take off, the city has recognized the need to promote in a different way the redevelopment of this area and modify the zoning regulations to basically attract the new investment that is needed. This was very appropriate when in 2019, the city was approached by NDT Development and Place Projects, two development partners that had the same vision and had acquired some properties in the neighborhood. So since that point, the city and the CRA started working with these private property owners to really work on possible changes to the regulation to incentivize the new redevelopment of this area. And that is what we have been working for the last year and a half of 2 years, so as a partnership between the city and the private sector, implementing or trying to envision the changes necessary to implement that redevelopment strategy for this neighborhood. From the city's perspective, we need to do several changes to our regulation to allow this new investment. We need to modify the downtown master plan element of the comprehensive plan. We need to amend the downtown master plan urban regulations and rezone certain properties within the neighborhood to promote basically the new redevelopment. What we are here tonight is to review the first step of this process of regulations changes, is the amendments to the downtown master plan element of the comprehensive plan. As I said, this is a process. We have been going through this since October. For the comprehensive plan, we went already to the Downtown Action Committee in October and the Planning Board in October. Tonight is the first reading for the comprehensive plan amendments. And then after the first reading is approved by the Commission, we'll send the proposed amendments to the Department of Economic Opportunity at the state level for review. While the state review that, we are continuing doing the changes necessary for the zoning and land development regulation and the rezoning also required for this area. The rezoning and the code amendments were already reviewed by the Downtown Action Committee this past November 10 and the Planning Board also on November 16. They both approved. And then the first reading for these zoning and land development regulation and the rezoning will come in front of the City Commission on January 10th. After that, we will bring the two items, the comp plan amendment and or 3 items, the comp plan amendment, the zoning code, and the rezoning in front of the City Commission for a last reading, second reading of all those 3 items together on September 7, 2022. So for what we are here tonight is the comp plan amendment. So I'm gonna go over the proposed changes to the comp plan. The first changes are allocated in policy 1.1.1. And it's basically, the intent is to delete the description of the industrial chic district that actually resides in there, that has kind of general parameters of what the district is, and replace it for the new NORA district. The new NORA district will be characterized as a mixed-use district that implements a contextual and gradual transitional scale between a higher intensity along Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard and the higher intensity of the downtown core. The areas along North River Avenue will accommodate small and mid-scale buildings in new structural renovations of the existing industrial buildings with commercial ground floor uses intended to activate the street. Policy 1.1 and figure DMP1 district boundaries will also need to be amended to basically remove the industrial chic district and add the areas designated now for the NORA district. As you can see, the purple is the existing boundaries of the industrial chic. We will add in a portion of the Resort Park as the industrial chic, and will be this like red color will be the new boundaries for the NORA district. And policy 3.1.3 will have specific maps that designate the areas for the districts. And we are also need to amend those maps and designate the areas. The Industrial Chic District 5 is now converted into the NORA District 5, and the Industrial Chic District 2 is now turned into the NORA 2. So these 2 districts that were Industrial Chic are now converted into the NORA 5 and 2. And then in addition, a portion of the Brestford Park District Residential is converted into the NORA 2. And a portion of the Brestford Park District 5 is turned into the NORA 5. So it's basically redrawing the boundaries of the new district. Important to mention, the base development capacity and height allowed as a base in this district is maintained. So what it was Industrial District 5 with 5 stories, 2.75 is converted into NORA 5, but is maintained as 5 stories and 2.75. So the development capacity as a base is maintained. Then what we are proposing is create additional areas that will be eligible to receive incentives, and that means bring development capacity to specific areas within the district through the transfer of development rights program. And that will basically allow a higher development intensity in this district in specific areas within this district. The principle is that it's proposed to have the areas with higher intensity, as you can see, on the edges of the neighborhood, so towards Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, with the majority of the vacant parcels are located, and then south of the neighborhood along Quadrille Boulevard. The core of the neighborhood is maintained as existing residential structures remain in there. Exist, and we are not proposing to upzone those or modify those ones. I want to maintain that core, and also the area along Railroad Avenue as exists is also maintained with the existing regulations and the existing height. The table DMP1 is also proposed to be adjusted, and in here we reflect basically the maximum development capacities that will be allowed in each of these districts as a base and also as an incentive. So you can see the industrial shake districts are now deleted, and the new North Railroad Avenue districts are created, assigning the same base development capacity than the previous industrial shake, but assigning additional development capacity through the incentive programs. The maximum will be 5.5 for the NORA 2 and 3.5 for the NORA 5. And the maximum height will be 20 stories for the NORA 2 and 10 stories for the NORA 5. A minor amendment that we are doing for the Brestford Park District, they are maintaining the development capacity, but we are actually removing the density limitations within the comp plan to allow more flexibility for these areas to work with the market-driven size of the units. This is an image that depicts a division of the district. As I mentioned before, the core of the neighborhood is maintained as existing height, the same as the area along Railroad Avenue, but the height additional development capacity is located closer to the Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, with the highest development located basically at the corner of Palm Beach Lakes and the FEC, and stepping down towards the neighborhood to protect the scale and the character. And also will be increased towards the south, closer to Quadrille Boulevard. In addition to those changes that are proposed for the comprehensive plan, we are using this opportunity to basically designate 2 additional parcels that the city own as urban open spaces, so we can transfer the development capacity from these 2 parcels. One is the Jose Marti, that is already a park. We are just officially designated as an urban open space. And the other one is the small linear park that is being created as part of, or in conjunction with, the new Flagler Station project on Tamarind Avenue. That parcel is owned by the CRA. They are designated that as an urban open space, so they can transfer the TDRs from that. In terms of community outreach, the city has done a lot of community outreach for this project with several community meetings. We had meetings starting in 2020 with the initial proposals for the vision and redevelopment of this district. We had a work session at the beginning of this year, and then in September, we had a community meeting with a lot of residents from the neighborhood itself. Then beyond that, we have had already 4 public hearings, the 2 Downtown Action Committee hearings and the 2 Planning Board hearings that were all advertised, and we sent mailers to all the residents within this neighborhood and 500 feet around it. And then we still have other public hearings that will come up for the City Commission hearings. Last November 22nd, we also had another meeting at the Salvation Army. We have some attendance in that. As I said, notifications were sent to all the residents for the neighborhood and 500 feet around the neighborhood. And we also send notifications to the neighborhood associations for the adjacent neighborhoods, like the Northwest Neighborhood Association, the Downtown Neighborhood Association, the Providencia Park, all the neighborhood associations that are registered with the city that are in the vicinity of the affected area. Based on this information, the Downtown Action Committee, as I mentioned, approved the amendments to the comprehensive plan on October 13 on a vote of 4-0, and the Planning Board on October 19 also approved the amendment on a vote of 5-1. Staff recommends approval for Planning Board 1899 based on the findings and data and analysis presented in this staff report, and based on the findings that the amendment meets the requirements of Chapter 163 Florida statutes, and it is consistent with other elements of the comprehensive plan. This concludes the staff presentation for the technical part. I'm going to turn the mic to Joe first now. That is the development part of this, and he is going to explain what the development portion is going to do with the proposed amendments that the code is going to take.
Thank you, Ana Maria. Mr. Mayor, City Commission, Joseph First, address 1105 North Dixie Highway, right in the middle of Nora. So I'm going to give a little bit of background on how this project came to be, walk you through a little bit about us, a little bit about my partners, Ned, Grace, and Damian Barr from NDT, walk you through the vision of the project, the engagement, and some of the great community benefits and outcomes that we expect to have through this project. So in 2018, this has been going on for a little while. So in 2018, it was actually Ned and Damian that identified that this area was generally underutilized. As you may know, NDT has a history of operating in this market with a series of different hospitality concepts as well as real estate concepts. And they saw a void in the market to bring vibrancy and a differentiated type of use to downtown West Palm Beach. When they started to work on this project and realized the intricacies of the planning and zoning, community engagement, and community development, fortunately, we were introduced to a mutual friend, and we partnered together. We've been working on this together now for the last 2.5 years. My background primarily has been in neighborhood development and community development. I have some statistics here about my work in Wynwood. So I was the managing partner for a company, Goldman Properties, which is credited for the revitalization and rebirth of Wynwood. But most importantly, I was elected as the Business Improvement District Chair for 6 years by 140 of my surrounding property owners to lead the policy work and create community outreach, community engagement to ensure that we were creating a comprehensive plan that everybody was excited about. Through that rezoning that we created in Wynwood, there's a few statistics that are worth mentioning. There was literally nobody that came to that neighborhood. It was really a derelict neighborhood. Now there's 5 million annual visitors. This week alone for Art Basel, there will legitimately be probably 500,000 people that come through this neighborhood. There was no parking meters. We ended up putting parking meters because of the amount of people. There's 1.5 million parking transactions. The spending from visitors is through the roof. It's well in excess of the 552 million you see here. Most notably, and I think important to me, we won the American Planning Association Award for Best Planning and Zoning Policy for Economic Development. That's led to over $1 billion of ground-up construction. And then I think most importantly for the economy and for placemaking and growth, there's been over 7,500 jobs created in Wynwood, and that's prior to these larger office assets. So if you see the project on the bottom left of your screen, that's a 300,000 square foot office building that I've developed with a company, Sterling Bay. That project in itself will have about 1,600 new employees working in this neighborhood. There's a lot that's important to me, but what's most important to me is being a community developer. And what I mean by that is engaging with stakeholders in the neighborhood and outside of the neighborhood. And I thought it would be important to show you some perspective on another project that I work on the west coast of Florida in St. Petersburg. This was not prepared in anticipation of this meeting at all, but this was done as a way to really show the type of work that, again, is important to me. So I'm going to play this video quickly, hopefully, or not. Ana Maria, any ideas here? Let's see if this works.
Let's see if we can put it anywhere. Why it's not there?
You know I need ya. You know I want ya.
1 minute, by the way, so it won't take long, I promise.
My name is Jason Mathis, and I am the CEO of the Downtown Partnership in beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. Joe has spent a lot of time thinking about the values that this community has and how this community has grown, what people care about, how we want to see our future develop together.
I think what's important about Place Projects with what they're trying to do is they're trying to integrate their project with what's already going on in the corridor. And we appreciate the fact that he wanted to make sure that whatever he did matched and coordinated with what we were already trying to do.
Joe's approach and his philosophy is so different from a traditional real estate developer. You know, Joe's not from St. Pete, but his way is the St. Pete way.
The reason why I showed that video, as I mentioned earlier, is we, myself, Ned, Damien, this development team, take a lot of pride and care in ensuring that we're doing right by the community. The plan that we've worked on in collaboration with the city is incredibly responsible. It has more preservation and protection of scale of existing buildings than it does redevelopment. And the beauty of that is that that is a complete neighborhood that'll have a mix of preserved single-family homes, a preservation of that existing character of the industrial buildings, while allowing the new development that's so desperately needed for downtown West Palm Beach. This project really has four main components. It's to revitalize an important part of downtown, create new commercial offerings and enhance public space, convert industrial relics into contemporary community assets, and provide diverse housing to support the growth of downtown West Palm Beach. I think you all know this, but I'll do this very quickly. The Nora District really sits right on the north end of downtown. It's actually the northern boundary of the downtown master plan. The reason why that's so important is, as you know, there is a lag of connectivity between the downtown and Northwood and the hospital district in the middle. We believe that this project has the opportunity to be that connective tissue to allow the downtown to continue to flourish. The location, as it's clear here, is east of the FEC, west of Dixie, south of Palm Beach Lakes, and north of Quadrille. Context. There's a couple points I want to focus on here. So you can see in the picture on the left, the Palm Beach Lakes Bridge, right? I mean, this is one of the three main ways that come into downtown West Palm Beach. That's our northern boundary. You can see the height and the scale of the bridge. You can also see all the vacant parcels that sit to the south and to the north. The parcels to the north are owned by Good Samaritan Tenant Health, who's here in support of this project. And this is, again, another piece to create connectivity there. The picture on the top right, to me, is the most compelling. Everything that you see, the tree canopy, the scale of this single-family homes, the scale of the character of the industrial buildings, all of that is getting preserved through this plan. And further, there's the ability to transfer unused FAR, or unused density from these parcels to the receiving sites, which creates an economic incentive for these individuals that they didn't previously have. The image on the bottom left continues to show the connectivity to downtown, and of course the vacant parcels on the east side of Dixie, there's another development project happening there, and all of the gentlemen and owners that are on the east side of Dixie are supportive of this project as well. Existing conditions, this is on the northern part of the neighborhood where the redevelopment is slated to occur. You can see there's obviously crime, blight, things that happen underneath this bridge that are not pleasant. You can see the vacant parcels. The picture in the top right is taken between 10th and 11th Street, and there are a series of vacated and abandoned structures that also exist. Existing conditions along North Railroad Avenue. Really, we think that this is a hidden gem. I mean, if you see the character of these buildings, they're beautiful. Our job is really to bring these to life and create a vibrant district. As you know from a previous meeting related to the CRA, we're doing a series of privately financed improvements to the infrastructure and the streetscape. So we're redoing the water and the sewer, we're redoing the stormwater, we're creating a curbless street with 14-foot sidewalks. We're also creating a public open space on the east side of the road, as well as surface parking. The beauty of what that is this is going to be an accessible public space for anybody to come to. You don't need to go into a store to spend money. There's no socioeconomic divide as to people that can take advantage of the space. This space is going to have artistic interventions, it's going to have open space, it's going to have cultural programming. And then on the real estate side, we'll have a series of differentiated retail uses and commercial uses that I think are going to add a lot of exciting fabric and a lot of exciting vibrancy to downtown West Palm Beach. Here's a rendering view taken from about 9th Street within the park looking north. It does show very clearly the public open space on the east side of the road. And then in terms of the aesthetic and the vibe that we're going for the buildings, this will feel differentiated from any other commercial offerings you have within the downtown. This view is taken from 7th Street to the north. Again, shows you kind of the length of the run of these buildings, and I think the streetscape, which is something that we're very proud of to be executing and bringing to life in this project. Anna Maria already touched on this, so I'll just do it very briefly. But again, the beauty of what has been created here is that there's going to be a diversity of different housing typologies and housing options. As you can see, the preservation of the existing single-family homes. As we start the transition to the higher intensity development, the requirement is that we have no more than a 3-story townhome residential only product along the first transition, which is 10th Street, and then we get into the higher intensity development as we approach Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard. Community benefits, these are sort of the 5 that we think are most relevant. Again, dynamic and accessible public realm, public art, cultural programming, a place for families from the surrounding neighborhoods to come and hang out. Redevelopment of underutilized land within downtown West Palm Beach. You all know we're in a housing crisis here. We're in an affordability crisis. We'll talk more about the affordability in a moment, but this is an opportunity to really utilize these large swaths of vacant land. Job creation. So just within the buildings that we already own and control along North Railroad Avenue, there's 140,000 square feet of retail space that currently is primarily vacant. If you take a 7-person per 1,000 square foot ratio of job growth, that would be about 1,000 jobs that get created just from the Main Street. Forget all of the construction jobs, forget all of the future development in the ground up. Just the building of the place will lead to approximately 1,000 jobs that will be new to market. Mixed income housing. This is obviously very important to us, and I know very important to you. As Anna Maria mentioned, we are not adding to the actual base FAR in this neighborhood. So all of these parcels that are getting rezoned for this additional capacity have to take advantage of the incentive program. And as you know, you've already passed an affordability workforce requirement that requires that 20% of all FAR that gets transferred as part of the incentive program is used for affordable housing. And just for everyone's benefit, 25% has to be below 60% AMI, 25% below 80% AMI, and 50% 100% or lower. So this is true affordable product. This isn't just workforce product. If we were to build out this entire program with residential as multifamily rentals, we would provide in excess of 400 affordable units. This is Harvey's fact, so if I misstated, it's his fault, not mine, I promise. But those 400 units would be greater than all of the existing affordable housing units within the downtown combined. So it's a really big deal. In terms of tax base growth, as you saw in the CRA presentation, the development just in the lifetime of the CRA will lead to about $95 million of additional tax increment for the development that's slated for this area. So these next slides really focus on community engagement and how we've gotten the word out. The first has been not within our control, but there have been 12 different press and media pieces that have come out around this project, some local, some national. You've probably seen them on WPB-TV, Palm Beach Post, etc. So this project is absolutely in the news, and all of the press to date has been incredibly favorable. People are excited to have this offering within the downtown. As Anna Maria mentioned, the city has done their own engagement and outreach. The map on the left is the map to which they sent notices to. So there were 308 parcels that were contacted. Anne Marie already went through the details of the different meetings and the additional letters of contact for community meetings. And of course, those are the designated individuals on behalf of the neighborhood associations. And so, we've been doing a lot of community outreach, but we think that we can do more. This piece is the support map. So in the previous map that I showed you, you could see kind of the breadth of where these notices were sent. Within this map, there's 173 parcels. In your package that was sent to you earlier, and obviously that I have with me as well today, we have active support letters from 150 of 173 parcels. To date, there's only been one individual that has not been supportive of the project, But all of the parcels in gray are parcels that we already own. This investment has already been made, and all the parcels in green are other individuals who own property within this neighborhood that are supportive of the project. Just some additional support, Good Samaritan Hospital. I know there are some individuals here to speak in support of this project tonight. We've taken the infrastructure piece of this project to you before as part of the CRA, and of course the Chamber of Commerce is supportive of this project. Here's a couple of poll quotes. I won't waste the time to read through them, but basically we've continued to engage and continue to do outreach. We have individuals from Providencia Park, Good Samaritan Hospital, Darren Studstill of Cityside Suites, Donald Burgess in the Chamber of Commerce. And again, we think that we can continue to do engagement because we think this is a project that should be celebrated within West Palm Beach. So here's a series of additional meetings that we've already set and are already calendared. We have another networking event that Darren is so kind to host on the 1st. We have the Philosophers Club on the 3rd, Downtown Neighborhood Association meeting. We've had countless conversations with these members, but this is getting brought to the entire group on the 8th. We're doing another community engagement event on the 9th, and then we're doing the Old Northwood community meeting on January 4th. There are Northwood supporters as well that I'm sure you'll hear from tonight, but again, this is for full support and resolution. You can see the flyers in the top right, and these are some images of the meeting that we recently had at the Salvation Army on November 22nd. Couple more actions, I'm almost through. It's one, to hire a diverse mix of people throughout the life cycle of the project, create feedback loops for community input, provide new opportunities to surrounding neighborhoods. Just so that it's very clear, all we're doing right now is creating a zoning and a planning framework. Every project that comes through on a ground-up development will have its own site plan approval, will have its own public process, and so the engagement is really just getting started. It is absolutely not ending. Thank you. Here's my contact as well as Ned's. We are open at any time. As I just mentioned earlier, Ned's office is within this neighborhood. We are living it. We are breathing it. This is all we do every day, so we are open to feedback and suggestions. We have a relatively broad outreach team. I'm going to turn the mic over to Charisma Adams to talk about some of the engagement that we've done. She can present her findings and the work that we continue to do. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commission. Thank you so much. It's really exciting to be able to do community outreach in the community that we live, work, and play in. I've been providing community outreach and engagement in West Palm Beach for the last probably 12 years. So it's really exciting to just be able to introduce this project to our neighbors and people we work with, our colleagues, people, that I have great relationships with. I also am a business owner in Northwood, and so I have the opportunity to present this as well to my colleagues in that area. This is an example of the most recent community engagement report that we provided to the team here in DT and Place Projects. They decided that they wanted to do a lot more than just what was required by the city as it relates to community engagement. And so they brought on their outreach team that you saw above a little earlier. November 22nd, we hosted a community meeting. This was our first community meeting as the extended outreach team. We hosted it at the Salvation Army, and that was really to introduce that project to the areas and the neighbors outside of that immediate stakeholder group that received the letters from the city before. We wanted to go a little broader and cast our net a little wider. We hosted the meeting in person and through Zoom. We sent invitations to participate to over 4,000 residents. We saw 3,806 by email with a 31% open rate. That means 1,100 people saw and viewed the invite. We canvassed 250 printed flyers because some of those neighborhoods we needed to reach through print materials because we found it to be more effective. Because some just don't have access to email or internet, or we don't have their address, current and updated email addresses on file. We also did canvassing and neighborhood flyer drops to local churches because we found that a lot of people, although they don't live in that area, they visit the area every weekend at their house of faith. And so we did flyer drops to local churches. We did 4 there. We attempted 2 others. However, they did not have in-person services. But we did go ahead and add them to the email list to distribute it to them. Some of our key takeaways, everyone was very enthusiastic about the project, but most were really interested in what type of opportunities there would be for small businesses, for local businesses, as well as really having an interest in residential options, what will be available in terms of leasing, townhomes, things like that. So housing and business retail leasing was also 2 of the key takeaways from that meeting. As you can see, I won't bore you with it, but this was a copy of the email that we sent out. This was the flyer that was distributed to those canvassing, through those canvassing outlets. And those are some photos from the meeting that we hosted. Upcoming meetings, as you mentioned before, December 1st, we have a Mid-Sur Downtown Neighborhood Association, another community meeting, December 9th in the Historic Northwest, and January 4th, we're going to Old Northwood Association. So this is an example of the report. We provide this to the development team every time we do community outreach. So they have a very clear numeric number of how many people were contacted, how we contacted them, and if the people actually received the communication, if they responded to this. So we provide this after every single engagement opportunity. Thank you.
Anna Marie, do you have some more?
No, that concludes the presentation, Mayor.
Okay. Before we go into comments from the commissioners, let me just address the incident that occurred. I want to set it in context. The person who was asked to leave had been contacted privately several times and asked to put on a mask, and they absolutely refused to. So I don't want you to think that was a spontaneous eruption on my part. We tried to work with her, but she blatantly refused to put on the mask, and that is unacceptable. So, putting that aside, let's get into comments, questions from the commissioners on this particular item. Commissioner Schoaf.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to kind of level set with staff, if I may, because we've had a lot of really great information here this evening. And I know we've seen a lot about the NORA project and plans. We haven't seen a specific plan on that because that is not what we're considering here this evening, correct?
Yes, correct. We are just reviewing the comprehensive plan amendment, comprehensive plan changes that are necessary to put the regulation in place. We have not received, or they cannot even submit an application for a specific project yet.
So in essence, this being step one, it's hard to develop a project when you don't know what the plan will be. So this sets the plan, number one, and then it's up to these landowners or any other landowners within the district to come up with the specifics of the plan and figure out which incentives they're going to take advantage of, et cetera. But we're pretty much in the place where they will have to include things like affordable housing, et cetera, correct?
Yeah, exactly. We are providing the framework, and there are certain things that were even set before this framework, like what Joe was mentioning, the affordable housing or the workforce housing plan. It's already in the books. So once we approve the NORA changes, because they are going to use the TDR incentive, they will be required to implement the workforce housing program.
So essentially, we're tonight, pending passing this, would set the roadmap. And as it goes forward on community engagement, I know there's a number of things that are set. There are plenty of opportunities for neighbors to still reach out, be involved in the specifics of the project. So tonight being comprehensive plan, the regulatory body, if neighbors wanted to have input into what the project would look like, or maybe get more information about the details, they could meet with the development separately on any of the presented options.
Correct.
Thank you.
And we are not under any circumstances approving a particular site plan. I know it's redundant, but we got to emphasize that point as to what we're doing tonight. Any further? Yes, Commissioner Warren.
Hi, Anna. Excuse me, Ms. Aponte. I have just a question about whether or not you've seen any prior requests for comp plan revisions for this area before NDT and place projects.
From NDT?
Prior to this project, have you received any requests to make this type of zoning change?
No.
This is the first time that this
the only thing that we have, and I explained that we did, was in 2009 when we amended the downtown master plan as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some changes proposed to this area, and the industrial shake district was created in 2009, but it was part of the city initiated as the whole downtown master plan when we amended the master plan.
Did that result in any construction at that time?
No.
Any further follow-up?
Do you know, Anna, when the last time there was new construction in the area, approximately?
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why the city has been so supportive of this, and we partner with the development on this, because even before the master plan update, since the master plan was created in 1994, we have not seen major redevelopment on this neighborhood. We have worked with some of the residents of the single-family houses, and they have done some improvements. We even work on updating the regulations so they could have commercial uses. They wanted to have a regulation that allows something similar to what Providencia Park has. That was implemented, but has not really been able to transform the neighborhood. And we totally believe that it's necessary to have a larger investment. So this is a great opportunity to have a partnership with a large property owner to make it happen.
Great. May I?
Yes.
Thank you. I also noticed that you began looking at making these revisions back in 2019.
Yeah, we have been working in this since, 2019, early 2019.
Is there a particular logic behind why we are just starting to do the community engagement, why that piece is just being addressed? Because that seems to be the largest area of opportunity, and I'm just curious as to.
We did some community engagement in 2020 when we started addressing or making some preliminary reviews to the zoning code. So back in 2020, we started that process, but not until the regulation is in place and proposed, we can reach out to show what is the intent of the changes.
During that outreach, was there an opportunity for residents to provide any type of feedback? Was that type of opportunity? Was it that type of community engagement?
Yes, we did it. The first one that we did actually was in the height of the pandemic, and it was a Zoom meeting, and it was a well-attended meeting, and we received feedback from the neighbors that attended, and it was a positive feedback. Everybody was really interested about the changes and the new things that could happen in the neighborhood.
So the neighborhood had an opportunity to weigh in on what they would like to see happen?
Yes.
Further follow-up? Yes, no? Okay. Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much for the presentation. Anna Maria, I just had one question for you. I know there was some discussion about the Palm Beach Lakes Bridge, and I'm wondering if we as a city have been in discussion at all with what the future of that bridge is. I know that there's something in the works with the county, but I'm not sure if we're at the table for that.
Yeah, the Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard Bridge is a county-owned facility. We do not control it. They started doing some design, so we had some preliminary meetings with them at the beginning. We made some suggestions about improvements to the design of the bridge, but it's a slow process. It's led by the county, not by the city. So we have been trying to engage with them more and be sure that the design is something that we think is attractive and beneficial for the neighborhood, but it's moving slowly.
Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you. I don't know if Mr. Green read my mind, but I actually had a question about this slide, so thank you for pulling it up. I missed what you said during the presentation. You said something about Jose Marti Park. Was there enhancements that will be done to this park?
And not really. I mean, this is a park that exists, but it has never really be zoned as an urban open space. It has a flagler waterfront designation, so it has development capacity. So what we are doing with this amendment is just officially designating it as a park, so we can basically maintain it in perpetuity as a green space for the city, and then we'll be able to transfer the development rights. I believe as part of the parks master plan, there are some minor improvements that they're gonna do in this space. So they will have to do those ones before we can really transfer the TDRs.
And do we know about the estimated size of this linear park?
You know that?
Commissioner, for the record, Rick Green, Development Services Director. As the commission may remember, a while back, we went through a historic designation for St. Anne's School. So we had committed to providing them the TDRs for the Jose Marti Park. So it's approximately 90,000 square feet. The Flagler Station Linear Park's about 11,000 square feet. So those are TDRs. For Jose Marti, we had promised to St. Anne. That was part of the approval you made several months ago. So this is following up that obligation we made to them. And then the linear park will be about 11,000 square feet, if I remember correctly.
Great, and thank you. Follow-up, Mayor?
Yes.
While you're up here, Mr. Green, I do have a question about the TDRs. If maybe you could just clarify and reiterate the statement that was made earlier about the 20% of all the FAR that will be available now for transfer to the receiving sites and how that might transfer and relate to affordable housing.
Yeah, I didn't look at the number that was referenced in terms of the 400 units. It sounds approximately about what I think we would get. If the commission remembers, we implemented a downtown workforce housing incentive several months ago. We're going to be coming back to you with a resolution that will adopt the exact program. But what that does is, again, any increment in floor area ratio over and above what's permitted, 20% of that has to be set aside. And as Joe mentioned, it's going to be broken up a quarter at 60%, a quarter at 80%, and then the remainder below 100. So everything that's going to happen here, and you'll see that more in the zoning amendment when that comes back in January. You'll see the specifics of the program and what we did. It's a very innovative program, creating legacies. I don't want to get into all that now because you'll see that in mid-January. But that will allow the TDRs to be basically moved within the Nord District. So it creates a lot of flexibility, but anytime that's used, a percentage of that expansion will have to be provided in the form of workforce housing.
And so just to clarify, will homeowners be able to participate in that program?
Yes, again, it's a little innovative. So again, the unused capacity that they can generate with their single-family home could be set aside and sold as TDRs to facilitate other development within the district.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Warren.
Mr. First, your slide 16 showed community benefits, and I'd just like to know, is that based off of community think tanks? Did you engage people from the community in your interpretation of community benefits, or is this based off of your experience with similar projects in other areas?
It's a combination of both. So we as a immediate community have been talking about this for about 2+ years. And you'll see many residents in this neighborhood tonight speaking in support of this. So there are a few things that we all know inside of the community that are important. It's really lighting and vibrancy along North Railroad Avenue. As you can imagine, there's only a few legacy industrial uses here. So come 5 p.m., this is a completely desolate area. The area closest to the bridge where most of the redevelopment is set to occur, that is legitimately a hotbed for crime, drug use, prostitution. And so for those individuals, you'll hear from one today for sure, that live in close proximity to that, this is a welcomed change to have this redevelopment to allow for much better uses, much better lighting, and really the cleaning out of the situation that happened underneath the bridge. The other elements are things that, not just through my own work, but just through studying this as a practice, as an example on the job creation side. Not to get into the weeds, but just to answer the question, the average individual for an office use occupies about 150 square feet of space. When you think about a food and beverage establishment, a 5,000 square foot restaurant can have upwards of 60 employees. So we just took a factor of kind of utilizing those different numbers and those metrics and applied at 7 people per 1,000 square feet. That's 1,000 new jobs that got created through this. Of course, this has to be successful. We have to have businesses open. We absolutely expect that to be the case. One thing I can tell you from experience as well is that in downtown West Palm Beach, you have some amazing offerings. Obviously, Rosemary or the Square now is great, and the Warehouse District is great. Clematis has a fantastic history, and there's interesting uses there as well. But what we have here is high character, old industrial buildings, primarily built in the 20s and 30s. They'll have an aesthetic and a character and a vibe that'll be unlike anything else that you have within this market. And we absolutely think, because of the public realm, because of the open space, because of the connectivity to downtown Palm Beach Lakes Bridge, we think that this is going to be not just a local downtown destination, but actually a regional destination. So there's a laundry list of additional community benefits that we expect to see. And also, as we just have mentioned, I'll just repeat it again, we're just focused on the policy framework now. One of the beautiful things about this plan is that we'll have the ability to close this street. This street is a vehicular street, but it only services North Railroad Avenue. And so on the weekends, we'll be able to do larger events, cultural programming, things of that nature that in our business are true placemaking initiatives. And so those are what we call the software of a neighborhood that really creates connectivity to it, that creates broader engagement, and that we think will create an amazing outcome for the downtown. You're welcome.
And this framework of community benefits will evolve over time, presumably, as you get deeper into the project.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just the first step. As you know, this is, again, we're literally point one. It's the first batter in the first inning, but there's a life cycle of this project that we think is going to be, it's really just going to continue to grow on everything that we do prior. And we think this is, again, when you think about, let me just take a moment on this. When you think about a complete neighborhood and you think about redevelopments that you see, it's very rare to have this mix of existing fabric, the diversity of housing options that we'll have in terms of single-family homes, smaller duplex, and then new development, all in one compact neighborhood that exists right in the center of the downtown with surrounding neighborhoods all around it that, candidly, for many years have been starving for places to go and things to do. So we think this will just continue to get better, but of course this is the first step to try to bring this vision to life.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, we do have several cards. I'm going to call out three at a time. When I call your name, if you start making your way toward the podium, we'll start with former Mayor Jerry Moyo, Jonathan Frost, and Ben Lubin.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Great to see you all again. I'm here this evening to voice my support for the proposed amendment to the Downtown Master Plan, creating a new NORA district. This is such an exciting project, and I'm tempted to say to you that it's a no-brainer, but I won't say that. In 2009, the City Commission established the Brownsford Park and Industrial Chic District at the hope of seeing this developed and seeing this connectivity between downtown and Northwood, but it didn't happen. So now it's time to take a second look at that. Much of this land is currently vacant or home to boarded up structures and warehouses. NDT Development and Place Project have acquired many of the properties in the area and are proposing the development of mixed-use, vibrant district with restaurants, commercial offerings, and affordable housing. And back to that connectivity piece, I think is just so important that we've just been hoping for it for so many years. NORA is a unique project where the developers have worked collaboratively with the city and the surrounding community to design a plan that's thoughtful and respectful of the area's history. NORA will include significant upgrades to the public realm, including public parks, lush landscaping, wider sidewalks, cobblestone streets, and utility upgrades. This is a case study of how the public and private sector can work together for a greater good. I urge you to vote to amend the comprehensive plan to create the NORA district. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Jonathan Frost.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Jack Frost, Riverwalk, West Palm Beach, and a member of the governing board of Good Samaritan Medical Center. And really, former Mayor Moyo is always a tough act to follow. We have a number of people here from Good Sam who will be commenting on some of the specifics to the advantages for the hospital and for that whole area. But as a more general comment from myself, as a resident of the city, this is just a wonderful world-class project going into an otherwise overlooked neighborhood. And also it's a wonderful complement to what's happening on the other side of the tracks in the historic Northwest. It's a dynamic area, and we also have world-class developers, people who are involved with a fantastic track record. So to me, it checks all the boxes, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Ben Lubin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Ben Lubin, 410 Vernia Street. I was born in West Palm Beach, Good Sam actually, the northern border of this project, and been a resident over 40 years. And I'm here to voice my strong support for this NORA district, give my small perspective as a resident and as a local business owner. When I opened the Blind Monk in 2009 looking for a spot, and I chose a space on Vernia Street People thought I was crazy, that I was in the middle of nowhere. 2 blocks from Clematis, 2 blocks what was then called City Place, 2 blocks from the Intercoastal. But in people's mind, if you weren't on Clematis Street, you had no chance at success. Obviously, a city is much more than a main street, and West Palm Beach is comprised of some pretty amazing neighborhoods and different areas that have recently been developed, from the South End to Antique Row, all the way to Northwood, and the new warehouse district, Rosemary Square. And there's no doubt in my mind that Nora District will be an incredible addition to the neighborhoods of this city. When I opened the Blind Monk in 2009, I was able to use the money I'd saved up from my time in the Marine Corps. I had just come back. Rents were affordable. I got a very good deal on my unit. Contractors and building costs were still reasonable, and I was able to do it on my own. To be able to open a restaurant now and to do it to a high standard, really, it's chains and corporations and big restaurant groups that have that ability, and small local businesses, it's tough to do something of that quality. And I think I may have an opportunity at Nora to partner with NDT and do something that I would not be able to do on my own. And I think that's something that makes Nora unique from some of these other areas that have been developed. They are focused on local talent, local businesses, and giving them an opportunity to do their thing and be a great amenity to this city. You know, as a resident here over the last 40 years in different phases of my life, there have been different parts of the city that I went to. In my 20s, you know, I went to Clematis. Now that I'm a father of 2 young children and I'm older, you know, my interests and tastes have changed. And I think Nora is going to provide something that a lot of people in this city don't currently have, and they're going outside the city for. So it's a great opportunity to offer a great amenity to residents, and more than that, to bring people from the surrounding cities to a part of the city that will really resonate with them. Thank you for your time, and really good to see some familiar faces.
Thank you very much. 3 more names, Dennis Grady, Matt Chambers, Will Davis.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name's Dennis Grady, and I chair the Board of Governors of Good Samaritan Hospital. As the former mayor pointed out, in 2009, when the city established the 2 current districts in the proposed Nora district, the city intended for this area to become a vibrant neighborhood and part of an emerging, developing, and energetic downtown. That has not happened. City staff reports that almost 40% of the area under consideration this evening is vacant, and many structures are boarded up today. 10 years later, the city and their staff began considering changes to this area to promote true redevelopment and investment. During this time period, major redevelopment investment has occurred in the rest of the downtown master plan area. The lack of development in the Nora district has negatively impacted one of the city's largest employers, Good Samaritan Medical Center. The hospital is located within a very short walking distance of the area under consideration now, and Good Sam has approximately 1,000 employees and has been serving the city and community for over 100 years. The amenities possible if the proposed changes are adopted this evening can result in expansions of new restaurants, coffee shops, and other retail opportunities that would benefit those 1,000 employees and customers to Good Sam. But most importantly, these comp plan zoning changes and incentives, as pointed out by the developers this evening, will result in new workforce housing available to the hundreds of Good Sam employees who would like to live close to where they work and also help us at Good Sam recruit new talent to the hospital. It will also benefit the many other medical profession employees who work in the North Flagler area. Our medical hub deserves to be connected to the rest of the downtown. And these proposed changes before you now will help make that possible. We are fortunate from Good Sam's board's perspective to have Sherry Montgomery, our CEO, with us here in the audience this evening, and many members of our staff from the hospital. This is a unique opportunity in front of the commission this evening. We have talked for many decades about, I'll be quick, about the downtown master plan, the two bookends. Palm Beach Atlantic University to the south, Good Samaritan Medical Center to the north. Adoption, as the commissioner pointed out, of this roadmap will help that investment occur that will make our entire downtown master plan economically viable and a leading.
All right. Thank you, sir. We get it. You like the project.
Thank you,
you. All right, Matt Chambers.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. President, and Commissioners. Matt Chambers, Old Northwood, 35th Street, and small business owner on Northwood Road. These type of comprehensive changes really are smart. They bring a city that's a great downtown that has these holes and gaps that we don't have connectivity. So I'm in Northwood Village, which I consider part of downtown, part of the city of West Palm Beach. But in between there is zero connectivity. The quality of life that these kind of projects can bring to the people that live here is off the charts. We talk about, the jobs and all those things are great, but the current people that are here, our quality of lives will change with these type of projects. They're smart projects. They bring jobs. They bring affordable housing. They bring people. I can envision people. I'm a visitor of Windward Walls of Miami, right? So I take Brightline, or I did before the pandemic, down there because I love to take pictures. I could see people coming back and forth to the destination of the city, and then from there coming on to the new anchor site of Northwood Village and and Curry Park redesign. This is what we're supposed to do as a city. To become a great city, these are the type of projects the type of comprehensive plan changes we need to make to attract the developers and the people that are bringing the money to come and invest in our city. So I urge you to support this. I will get the word out on my end to make sure we get the neighborhood supports. Everybody I've talked to so far does, but please, I urge your support tonight.
Thank you very much. Will Davis.
Good evening, mayors, commissioners, and city staff. Will Davis, I am a resident on Northwood and also a merchant in Northwood Village. I can sympathize and empathize on these empty parcels and boarded up, since we just spoke about this recently with CMUD and with Anchor site coming in. So we can see these empty parcels, so we feel for these residents. The opportunity is right there for them. So please do not deprive them of this opportunity, as what we've had to deal with for almost 20 years in the North End. So I urge you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call three more names, if you could start positioning yourselves. Steve Simpson, Randy Skinner, and Rick Rickines. Steve Simpson.
Hello, Mayor. Commissioners.
Hello.
Thank you for service. As an owner in Providencia Park, which is right across the way, as you know, from this project, I want to commend the developers and everybody involved for what I think is an unbelievable. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use the former mayor's term. It's a no-brainer. It's the north gateway to our city. When you come in off of Palm Beach Lakes and make that turn, I just hope I'm still around when it's done and can enjoy it. But as an owner in that neighborhood to the east, I can only imagine how bright the future is. And I really thank you for, I believe you guys support it, and I think that's super intelligent and unbelievable for our city, and what a great time for our city. So, and you guys are such a huge part of it, and I'm excited to be a very small part of it. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Randy Skinner?
Yes, good afternoon. Randy Skinner, small business owner here in West Palm Beach. And about a year ago, started a small home building company with a minority partner, and we've got 5 affordable homes this year being completed in the Tamarind area, in which we're putting families of color and that are committed to community transformation. I've worked all over the nation with urban revitalization. I met Ned Grace about a year ago. And one of the things I always speak to is what's called restorative justice. It's where we bring back or try to remember the legacy and the history of a community and to bring corrective measures to maybe areas where we failed as a city or as a community in the past. And always focus on, first of all, crime, because we want healthy communities. We want to live in a healthy community that's safe. We want affordable housing. It's something to be able to actually own a home. Home ownership is so critical. Health and wellness, education, and then really values and spirituality. Those are the 5 pillars that I call that actually bring change to a community. And I had the blessing to be a part of transforming the 11th poorest zip code in the nation, the most violent in 100 years in Dallas, Texas. And so when I met Ned about a year ago, I brought up those things. And I really emphasized the need to have that in his plan. And when I've sat and talked with him, looked him in the eyes, listened to his heart, I really felt like that he heard what was being said. And we talked through, like, how can we actually do that in the community to bring jobs to people, where people can actually own homes. And the last thing that I'll leave is interesting. I remember once we adopted a family. I lived in the inner city for 20 years and raised my 5 and 8-year-old daughter in the inner city. And I remember that we had created a new home for a family that came in, and they were an immigrant family, and they had never owned a home, and so they were getting into home ownership. And I remember my wife took them some gift cards for Christmas to go shopping. Well, they had never been to a mall. They had never been outside of the hood to a place where they could actually buy clothes and buy gifts, and it actually terrified the woman. And one of the things that this will do, it will actually place retail an opportunity for families that live in the area to be able to go shop. And it's amazing that in the inner city, how many inner city kids never get out of the hood. In the Tamarind area, they never get out in a city place or go out to the malls. They're just never able, and that's foreign to us. But this project is a great holistic project, and I'll conclude by saying in my 2 years here, I've really been impressed with the city staff that have been committed to diversity and been committed to really community transformation.
Thank you very much. Rick McInnes?
Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, my name is Rick McInnes, 801 South Olive Avenue, resident of West Palm Beach. Also, I am here today wearing a hat of the immediate past chair of the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches, Donald Burgess, who normally would be here in my place, is out of the country on well-deserved vacation, and Bill Bone, our current chair, was not able to make it. So they've asked me to come instead and convey from the Chamber of Commerce, our Area Government Committee, and our full Chamber Board, who both voted unanimously to endorse and support this project, this rezoning, and everything that goes with it, understanding the impacts of and all of the things that have been said before me that I don't need to repeat. But I will tell you, well, also, in the interest of full disclosure, McInnes & Associates is the civil engineer of record for the project, but I'm here at the behest of the Chamber. I will tell you, though, because of my involvement with the project team, the development team, which is one of the things that's been said here before, too, very interesting. When I first started meeting with them and looked at the land they assembled and all of my history with previous developers in Florida, I immediately assumed that, okay, you've got this big chunk of land, you are probably going to go ahead and bulldoze everything down, and you're going to max out everything you can, every last square inch and everything else for increased profits and buildability and all this, because this is actually a gem, in the rough. And pretty soon I found out, no, that's not the intention. The intention is to preserve the historical character of the neighborhood, of the buildings that are there. The vast majority of the property is going to be, the residential character is to be preserved. There's going to be tremendous amount of outreach for incubation of small businesses and business startups and that type of thing. And I was like, wow, where are you guys from? It's been a pleasure working with them. So I want to add that to the record, but I'm here in my capacity representing the chamber as well. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. I'll call out three more names: Rick Gonzalez, Magyar Keshvars, and Benjamin Elias. Mr. Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners and City of West Palm Beach. It's great to be here. It's very rare to see proposals of this type, not only with staff and developers and community involvement, but creating neighborhoods is a very, very difficult thing. I do this for a living. I've been here in West Palm Beach for 36 years, the president of REG Architects, and I live and own property in downtown West Palm Beach. It's my headquarters, but we work up and down the state on smaller versions of things like this. Creating community and neighborhood is extremely difficult. It's a lot easier to come in and do a parcel, do one building, and be done with it, but to create a neighborhood, especially that neighborhood, I remember when I first came here in the late 80s, that was a very neglected neighborhood. It still is. There's a Dunkin' Donut, there's a few things in that area, but that's about it. There's nothing that's really happened in that time. And it's really an opportunity to continue with the tradition of our city over the last 30-some years. With the original master plan, when we brought back Clematis Street in the 1990s, right? The eclectic historic neighborhood of Clematis Street. Then Rosemary Square, late 1990s, early 2000s, right? And now, as the mayor just mentioned recently, the Sunset Lounge, right? And the park and the small shops, creating that change for those neighborhood areas. And creating placemaking that's anchored by historic is really the best. If you look at City Place as an example, when we did the historic church, it's anchored by a historic building, which gives people the sense of place. They belong there. They're connected to there. These developers are proposing to save that whole North Railroad area. I've been in those buildings. They're really cool buildings. They're really eclectic, like Clematis and other areas, and they really, really have a great value that we should look at. And the developer, in this case, has a great track record. They've done this in Miami. They've done it in Palm Beach. I think they're working on your golf clubhouse. They're doing a lot of good things in our community. They've reached out to many, many people. Two minor suggestions. I think, Commissioner, you mentioned one of them, Jose Marti Park. During the July 11th vote for Cuba to try to bring Cuba back, we met there many, many times. And of course, now it's back to the same old, same old. But that park is pretty neglected. They've done some cleanup, but it could use an improvement. Not a lot of money. Park benches, tile for the flooring, lighting, some seats, that would be great. Excited about the Railroad Spur Park too. That's something, Harvey, I think you and I have talked about that a long time. That's a great opportunity to do that. And the second suggestion, years ago, we talked about a 7th Street and maybe even an 11th Street connector. We're working on two projects right now on 15th and Dixie. 15th is an excellent example of how to do urban streetscape with the bicycle routes, the trees, all the work at the Housing Authority, bringing that all the way back to the east. So hopefully, whether it's pedestrian, because I know FEC is very difficult to deal with, some way of doing that connection would be wonderful. But I encourage you to please support this and get this approved this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Keshvars, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. Magyar Keshvars. Is he here? Not here. He supports the project. Mr. Elias?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Benjamin Elias, 323 Murray Road. I'd like to express comments of sort of three perspectives tonight. The first is someone who's just returned to West Palm Beach, where I grew up, a resident here now. I think this is a really smart way to bridge downtown and the Northwood areas. And so I really look forward as a resident, like I said, to visiting a future development. The second perspective is as a property owner in Providencia Park. My family's owned an office building at 11th and Olive for the last 22 years. This is an area that in 22 years really hasn't changed much. We experienced crime in the building, broken car windows. My trash can was stolen last week. I don't know what one does with a trash can, but it was stolen. And I think that having something happen to the west of Dixie that's smart like this, that clears up a lot of this vacant property and the boarded up property, is really going to be a boon for that northern part of really the edge of downtown. And so that's my second perspective. And my third perspective is, as somebody who, I just moved back here from Miami, and about 15 years ago, I had the pleasure of being a tenant of Joe's in Wynwood. We were a small business, just getting started, locally built, locally founded, and unlike a lot of landlords looking for that national tenancy, looking for that guaranteed rent, Joe's looking for local business people. He understands what it takes to build a community. At that time, Wynwood was Hugo Fresh, Panther Coffee, and Del Toro Shoes where I was. And I think that it's really lucky that Joe found himself with these partners here in the city of West Palm Beach, and that we have the pleasure of having somebody who understands how to make a place. Because a lot of developers would do, as a prior speaker said, bulldoze it, max it out, and that's not what this area needs. This area needs a smart community plan, which I think you all are here to approve tonight, and I strongly urge you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 3 more names, if you could start making your way down toward the podium. Charlotte Leonard, Andrew Price, and Will Ryan. Ms. Leonard?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and City Administrator. I'm here in support of the Nora District. I am an owner of a property in Pleasant City. I am a product of that community. I grew up in Pleasant City early on when that community thrived with Black businesses. My family owned businesses in that community, and we owned property. That has gone away for years. There has not been businesses in that community. There has not been restaurants in the Pleasant City area. That is the oldest African-American community in Palm Beach County. We've built on the north end of Pleasant City with Northwood, the whole Northwood corridor. We revitalized Curry Park. I used to visit there many, many years ago. But we have not done anything with the south end of Spruce. And as I leave the property, when I'm visiting, I drive out Spruce and I come to a dead end and I see the bridge. And under the bridge are vagrants, just people hanging out. So I support the project because I believe that, one, it's going to provide options to residents that are moving into Pleasant City. We have new homes being built by Habitat for Humanity. So those residents who are new to Pleasant City deserve to have a community of dining and other areas and things that they can do with their kids, as was said earlier. I also support the project because I believe it will increase my property value, so it's all selfish. That's really why I'm here. No. And then the third thing is I do hope and I wish that it will deter some of the crime, will bring more policing and more lighting to that area, and really just add some value to the property at the end of Pleasant City. So I'm here in support of the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Andrew Price.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. My name is Andrew Price. I'm representing my wife, Deborah, and I as property owners here within the proposed vicinity north of the project. We highly support the Nora project, and as taxpayers, it's a win-win, we feel, in terms of our property value. We feel that the project adds and/or supports revitalization of our effective neighborhood. And it's important to note, let me say that the developer, as well as their consultants, such as, and I'll just call his name, Mr. Odom, here, have engaged the community regarding the details of the project. In short, and I'm on a honeydew mission here this evening, we thoroughly support the project and look forward to it moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Will Ryan?
Good evening, mayors and commissioners. My name is Will Ryan, and I'm a resident in the El Cid neighborhood. West Palm Beach has a quality of life that is unmatched to anywhere I've ever been or lived. The access to diverse people, quality jobs, with a fantastic mix of restaurants and bars within the downtown is unbelievable. With that being said, West Palm Beach is at an inflection point. There's more room for this city to grow and expand to become really the heart of South Florida. With a never-ending migration to our city, there's a need to expand and revitalize for all these reasons you see behind me. To make Nora a quality space for professionals and to grow and raise families. It can provide a culturally unique place for visitors to understand what it means to be in South Florida. Nora is and will be one of the many developments that act as a catalyst for this city to expand.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call three more names. Bill Nugent, Cherie Bryant, I apologize if I mispronounced that name, and Scott Lewis. Mr. Nugent.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Bill Nugent, Historic Grandview Heights. Nice to see you all. The last time, I'm a longtime resident of the city of West Palm Beach, and I've lived in my neighborhood for about the last 30 years. The last time I recall the city making and supporting a large effort where properties were assembled in an effort to try and make things better, it was this thing called City Place, now Rosemary Square. Now, these examples are almost never a perfectly apples to apples comparison, but the effort, which is now Rosemary Square, where all the land was assembled, and in nice eyesight from the neighborhood where I live, the city decided, let's tear down all the historic housing on those 40 acres, with the exception of what's now the Himmel that was preserved, as Mr. Gonzalez pointed out. And this, what's being put in front of you tonight to decide, which is not a project, it's a framework. It's the start of the game, not the end of the game. This is actually saying, let's not tear down what's beautiful and historic and what's authentically West Palm Beach. This is saying, let's save what is redeemable, what is worth saving. Let's keep that. Let's embrace adaptive reuse. What's in place now has been pointed out by a couple of different people, about a 40% vacancy rate. It's been that way with the existing zoning that's been in place for the last 15 years, and apparently, according to what I think I heard staff say, it's been much, much longer than that since any investment, and I think more importantly, opportunity for all of the people, especially where it's most needed north of downtown in the city of West Palm Beach. So I really urge you to support this. This is thoughtful. I think if you guys hold the feet of the people that will be developing and working on this subject to your approval to the fire, to make sure that they continue to communicate and wrap their arms around residents, that this could really be something great. This could really be something great. So I urge you to support it.
Thank you. Ms. Bryant.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Shakri Bryant, and I am a resident of West Palm Beach and also a business owner. I own a bonding agency, and I work directly with small businesses, women-owned businesses, and minority-owned businesses. I'm really excited about this project. I know we've talked a lot about the residents, but a project of this size with the initiative to reach out to the community and make sure that business owners know that there is an opportunity, provide smaller contractors with an opportunity to get work in their own backyard. I have over 20 years of experience in the surety bond industry, and I've seen firsthand that a lot of these smaller contractors, women-owned businesses, they have to go outside of the city and even outside of the county in order to get work. So having something like this in our backyard, having community initiatives that really try to get the word out and let contractors know that work is available from an economic economic standpoint, it's absolutely a win-win. So I'm in full support of the NORA project. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Scott Lewis.
Yes, Scott Lewis, 514 14th Street, resident of West Palm. I do support this. We're not in the immediate area of it, but I can tell you that, the CRA mission, and I know you all support the CRA, you are the CRA, but its mission is slum and blight. I can't think of a much worse neighborhood that is desperate for this kind of change, and the comp plan amendments you're talking about help bring that about. And it's only the first step. This is a long road they're on. There is risk that they are taking, the developers, great risk. I was part of the downtown uptown. I had a couple parcels there when Palladino and Rolfs first came in. They're taking a risk in our community. I'm glad for it. I'm thankful for it because I need someone to help slow down the crime, the gunfire I talked about the last meeting. Okay, we want this community to connect to the north end, to not have the city stop at Quadrille up at Lofton Street, to continue what you all have set forth as a roadmap for all of us to follow. I've invested my life savings up into our area. I need your help to keep that business, my business, alive. And the way to do that is to support redevelopment. And, I know there was a lot of bulldozing that happened with downtown, uptown. I'm really glad these guys have engaged. And, I remember, I think I told some of you all before, I founded the Westgate Belvedere Homes CRA for 5 years. You're never going to get 100% support, but this is a great project. And it does the mission of the CRA, it does the federal guidelines, and you need to help support it and continue this project and give them the door opening to take the risk that they're taking successful and make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Read off three more names: Bronwyn Hollowell, Chad Wilkerson, and Greg Murmagus. Mr. Hollowell? He had to leave?
She.
Okay. Chad Wilkinson and Greg.
Evening, sir. Chad Wilkinson. Live at 3301 South Flagler Drive, so since 2005, and also own a local construction company. So going this late in the game, I apologize if I'm being Captain Obvious and redundant with everything everybody else has said, but as an end user, it's very exciting. So I live in the area, and we do also travel using Brightline down to Wynwood, and I'm sure people would do that up here, but a slightly different perspective. The immediate powerful impact that it would have on my company. I've got 45 employees, so I've got 45 families to take care of. Less than 5 live outside of Palm Beach County, and more than half of those Palm Beach County residents live in the city. So a job like this, I'm on the very front end. We're concrete structural contractors, so we're in front. In the beginning, we're not as many end users, but it would provide a livelihood for 20 families for 12 months, not to mention probably $3 million for local suppliers as well. And that's just a pretty powerful immediate impact, not to mention everything it does for the community. So just to provide a little bit of a different perspective as a local business owner, what something like this can do for us is pretty good. So I hope you guys support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greg?
Good evening, Mayor James and Commissioners. I'm Greg Murmagus. I'm a resident of 31st Street in Old Northwood. And when I first learned about the proposed NORA district, I was kind of excited, but I thought, it's a pipe dream that I read about in the media. But then Anthony Marola, who is the president of Old Northwood, and myself, the vice president of the Old Northwood Association, were contacted by Joe First. And he did a presentation that he offered to do, and I left that really, really excited, thinking about how this can really connect the North End to downtown. Because certainly the neighborhoods of Pleasant City and Old Northwood and all the other Northwoods are physically and even emotionally disconnected from downtown. And I think the NORA district can really go a long way to connecting our two areas. And they're pretty disparate right now, but I think that would really allow the growth to be from the center out and really positively affecting the North End neighborhoods. So I would really urge you to support the creation of the Nora District. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 3 more names: Steve Horsnett, John Jadonanton, I apologize. Okay, and then Reginald Hill. Again, I apologize for mispronouncing the name. Mr. Horsnett.
Good evening, Mayor James, City Commissioners, City staff. I would like to, first of all, tell you how excited I am that everybody's so excited. So far, at least we've heard unanimous support for this project, and I think that's because it's a project that makes sense for the city. As a North End resident of nearly 10 years, I spent most of that 10 years dreaming, hoping, praying that the North End would start to see some development that would actually make our North End of the city sparkle a little bit more. And between the recent CMUD proposed changes and perhaps the changes to the land development of the Nora District, I think that finally our time may be imminent. And, you know, I think this project makes sense for so many reasons previously stated, but the connectivity is very important. I think also as a gateway to the city. Some of the commissioners know that Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard and the trash that exists there perennially or all the time is a pet peeve of mine. But turning onto North Dixie and heading south isn't much better at this point in time. So I think that this type of development could really improve the overall appearance of the gateway to the city. I'm happy to hear that the support comes from residents as well as business owners, as well as the hospital, which is the one of the largest employers in the city. I just think that there's really very little downside to this project, and certainly the upside outweighs any potential negative aspect. So again, thank you very much for your time. I do urge you to support the proposed changes for the land development, and I thank the developer for their vision and wisdom in what could be transformative for the north end of the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. John?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Umesh Jadunandan, or Jonathan Jadunandan. It's the middle name. I've owned properties in 11th Street, which is the middle of this community, for the past 12 years. Worked with the mayor before. It was a residential area, and we had liked what was on the east side of Dixie, so we thought that if we have the similar type of zoning, we'll get some capital improvement. Unfortunately, after 10 years, it's still the same way. The blight continues, and we haven't seen any kind of improvement. I work with Commissioner Lambert. You may remember the emails I sent, and Josh, the Director of Public Works, came out right before the pandemic, and he walked the area with me, and we were able to install cameras and put some roadblocks so as to prevent trash from accumulating on the street. The NORA team came by, and I spoke with them, and I liked the things that they're doing. Most of the things already mentioned here in the meeting tonight. So I fully support this project, and I hope that you vote to approve the changes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reginald Hill.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff. My name is Reginald Hill. I'm a longtime resident of Pleasant City, and my first contact with the Nora District project is when I was 14 years old in 1972. I was the paper boy for the area. I have seen the area thrive from Pleasant City to that area. When I got old enough to enlist in the military, I went into the military, served my country, came back, served in the ranks of law enforcement. And by chance, I had to police some of that area as an undercover agent. And I can tell you the area needs help. There's a lot of community members from the Pleasant City area that feel left out. And by virtue of Ned inviting us to the table, we have a chance to really enjoy the community like we once did before. And by getting your support, we intend to do just that. So I'm in full support, and if you guys can vote for this, you'll make a lot of people happy. Enjoy your evening.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to call out 3 more names. Start making your way toward the podium. Dale Hedrick, Kev Ohm, and Bill Civitella. Mr. Hedrick?
Good evening, Dale Hedrick, live at 115 Flagler Promenade South. If Good Sam is 100 years old, that means I was born when I was 35 years old. I was paid $1.50 an hour to fix homes when I was in high school in this area. I know this area very well. And we have gone after being involved in this project, and they have asked us, invited us to participate. There's a few things that I want to point out. That one, the buildings that are there are very energy inefficient, probably on the borderline of structural integrity is probably some things they need to look at. But we went after this, and we're excited to be a part of it. One of the things that we have done just throughout our company is MWB participation, women, minorities. We have gone, most of our projects are from 30 to 70% participation, and we will do that here even though it's not required. And we know who the people are that can help us, the quality local minority firms that are in the area, and we know they want to participate as well. So we will engage them, we'll help them. And as a longtime resident of this area, we ought to be thrilled with what this development team is bringing to the table. You know, I've been there. My uncle was an accounts payable clerk, or manager, I should say, for Rinker Materials for 30 years, working right in this area. I know that area. I imagine a lot of people in West Palm Beach don't even know where this place exists. And now they're going to, and if, you know, I own a few pieces of property. I don't have, not many people have the wherewithal to do what they're doing. And also with the vision of what these people are bringing to the table is incredible. So I know everybody's excited about it. I'm excited about it. And it's going to transform this area that really does need transforming. So I'm in full support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Kev Ohm, is he here? Okay, he supports the project. Bill Civitella?
I guess I'm last.
Well, not last, but.
My name's Bill Civitella.
You left
I've
for
been,
that group.
well, I've been out in the cheap seats in the back waiting to talk.
Okay, all right.
I came here to prepare. I've been paying taxes, 318 and 316 in West Palm Beach for 38 years. And I've seen, so when I hear everybody speak, we've seen the top bankers be here in the country, in the county. We saw one of the top architects, right? We saw a war hero tell you that it needs help. So I came in here to try to pitch it to help my neighborhood. That's not what I'm here to ask you now. As commissioners, what I'd ask you is, how can all of us here, who is the community, speak to the commission of how we expedite this? How can we all get on the same team and leave here and go, okay, let's go? Because to me, there's good reasons why at the end of a football game or halftime, they just toss it up there because it's like we have nothing else to lose, right? That neighborhood, if you have children, I have 3 kids right down in this room, plus and minuses of this project, or the plus and minuses of benefit as a community, I can't think of anything on the left side. So what we have to do is kind of work together. These gentlemen that I know for 20 years that are doing this job are the community. They're not stepping in, they're here to help us. So let's try to help them, and so we can get this thing going. But thank you for your help, and maybe all of us, like all of us, not just us talking to you, but everybody around the circle get together. But thank you.
Thank you very much. Three more names: Charlotte Wright, Nicholas Rojo, and Adias Pierre.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and City staff. My name is Charlotte Wright at 2275 Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard. I serve on boards in the city, work with a local nonprofit, a proud commercial business property owner, and local faith leader. I'm here for the faith-based perspective of this project. Our ministry believes in community, creating a platform for community impact, Summit for Success. Through our initiatives, we continue to, and I want to share some of those because I am here supporting quite a few of our members that are in favor of this project. But they're only in favor because now they are informed and they're well-learned because of the work that we do. We continue to build community capacity, to develop and conduct collaborative research projects, to address critical public needs for men through our barbershop talk. We continue to assist in the development of effective and sustainable community academic partnerships with current and retired educators. We continue to provide training workshops for community engagement with community and national partners, and we continue to provide a platform for shared communication, networking, and community engagement among our partners and other stakeholders. I am here this evening to support this project. I have congregants that live close to this project and can appreciate what a project of this magnitude will provide for our city. I see an opportunity for the community to benefit, and thank you for your support, and please vote yes.
Thank you very much. Nicholas Rojo.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. My name is Nick Rojo. I live at 528 Greenway Drive. I'm a local stakeholder in the community as my company is developing the Grand Project, which is about a quarter mile south of this project. I just want to say how excited I am for this. I support this project. I think it's going to provide a lot of opportunities for our tenants, for the neighborhood, for residents of the area. He talks about the thousands of jobs it will create. I also know this development team very well. They've talked to me about this project for years. They rolled their sleeves up. They created this project piece by piece. And I think they're going to do a great job, and I wholeheartedly, my company and I support this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pierre?
All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Abdias Pierre, and I am a 30-year resident of West Palm Beach. I'm here to share my support tonight on the NOR District project. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work and coach and mentor many young men in the surrounding communities of this project. One thing that I have realized is that exposure is everything. Many of our young people have to face difficult environments in neglected neighborhoods on a daily basis due to crime, drugs, and other issues that plague their community. I believe that this project provides a major opportunity for youth and others to see a fresh new environment. This project allows them to dream again by seeing growth in a thriving, vibrant community. I suggest implementing even neighborhood outreach targeting the youth of the community. This project provides a positive, safe, and functional environment for the next generation in the community. Everything from accessibility of the area, new parks, employment opportunities, and additional benefits will be an uplifting moment for this community for years to come. To be able to see new life, small businesses thriving, allows our youth ultimately to believe in what's possible for their future. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and I am in full support of the NOR District project in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to read off three more names: Kimberly Weston, Sylvia Sharps, and David Smith. Ms. Weston? Is she here? Oh, okay.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Weston, and I had the privilege and luxury in a former life of being a flight attendant. I reference this because it afforded me said luxury and privilege of seeing the grand majority of this country, pretty much every metropolitan city, and a large portion of the globe. With that being said, South Florida has an energy, a vibe, and overall offerings that go unmatched. I came back to Florida from Atlanta, full disclosure, not only for the mango tree in my mother's backyard, but also because I wanted to be here for all of the reasons that I made previously. I purchased a home in the Northwood area, and my family has owned and operated a business in the Northwood community for over 25 years. During those 25 years, we have had lots of discussions with our professional neighbors about what would make this better. How can we improve? How do we get to the space that we want to be in? And as we lost some of those professional neighbors, the common dialogue that took place was foot traffic. The common dialogue that took place was having more residents that would bring said foot traffic. Nora does this. As someone who spends a great deal of time in the greater West Palm Beach area, the idea that they're making provision for not only retail offerings, but homes and just, again, the vibe that I so desperately adore, it's, to quote a previous speaker, it's a no-brainer. I'm in full support, not only as a property owner in Northwood, but also as a business owner. And I hope that you all can see the benefits that have been shared and support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sylvia Sharps.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Administrators, staff. My name is Sylvia Sharps. I own two businesses that are located at Cityside Suites in the Greater Northwest neighborhood. I am of the opinion that the only thing that is concrete about trickle down is in actuality the reinventment or the redevelopment of property, especially when it's taken the way it is and not torn down, but enhanced and given new life. Buildings die without people in them. Communities die without vibrant actions from the people in those neighborhoods. What I see for the trickle down is that I see the investment that's being put into the Greater Northwest. I see the investment that's being put in Northwood. I see the investment that's being put in Nora. And I thank Joe and Ned for just taking an interest long enough to not want to tear something down, but to create something that maybe I can enjoy for a few years, and then my godchildren and children I've worked with can enjoy for decades to come. My doctor is at Good Sam, and so is my best friend. She's a nurse. She currently lives in Port St. Lucie because that's the only place she could find an affordable house. If she could move closer to work, you guys hurry up, she would. I do want to ask that you support this project, and I want to thank them and the city of West Palm Beach for taking interest in doing so.
Thank you very much. David Smith.
David Smith, South End. The advantage of being the same age as old people allows me to see things that have happened in this city for a long time. A person who shall remain anonymous talked to me one day. His name's Dennis Grady. He was telling me about, David, there's not very many people that knows what this city looked like 30 years ago, or 40, or 50. The exciting part, one of the exciting parts of Nora is the adaptive use. We've come a long ways on that. The city was going to tear down the armory. You know what happened. The airport wanted to level 330 houses. They almost did, but there's about 25 of them scattered throughout the city. Readaptive use is great. This project is great. And it's the picture puzzle that Bill Nugent was telling me about. There's a couple of pieces missing that you want to finish the puzzle with. That's one of them. You pass CMUD. I'm looking forward to that. We used to develop east-west. Now we're finally developing north-south because that's part of what this city is. This is exciting. It is a framework. I trust city staff to dot the I's and cross the T's. And I trust a relatively young city commission, Mayor, you're not part of the commission, to do their fiduciary responsibility And I think you all understand the word incentives as opposed to anything else. Please support this. I do, and a whole lot of people do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, 3 more names: Terry Booty, Lettian Weathersby, and Susan Stecknig. And again, I apologize if I mispronounce those names. Mr. Booty.
Good evening, everyone, local leadership. I stand here as a privilege of being a contemporary of Ned and Sam. I am also a real estate developer. But I'm going to
Could you just state your name and address for the record, please, sir?
Yes, my name is Terry Booty. I'm also a resident. I live at 701 South Olive. But I have the privilege of being a contemporary of Ned and Sam. I'm a real estate developer. But today I'm going to speak from a very unique perspective. I represent a very marginalized group of people. I develop with people that come out of prison, the reentry population. And so I'm going to give you a small anecdote about who these guys are, right? So very well capitalized, young enough to understand how to shift the paradigm, don't prescribe to historic norms. So when you're talking about the nuances required to develop a community, you have the right people at the table. But taking it one step further, they listen, right? So they get it. They understand that you have to have inclusionary development. The place that you're building must look like and represent the people from the community, right? So if we're talking about Black folks and people of color participating at all economic spectrums, they get it. So for me, what was most joyous about this moment of seeing this part come to fruition is I can speak on the behalf of them, is that they put their money where their mouth is. So when they're working with small developers like myself that have limitations, they do extraordinary things like provide letter of credit or put up $2.5 million to do the type of investment, a social impact movement that is required to ensure that all people participate in this type of progressive activity. So yes, comp plan amendment is step one, but looking at the holistic picture, you are putting your vision in the right team's hands, and it will be executed with the nuances that are required for everyone to stand with the shovel in hand at the ribbon cutting ceremony, saying that all boxes are checked equally with the care and responsibility of a great development team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lettian Weathersby.
Good evening, everyone. To the commissioners, to mayor, and every respected person here. I am Lydia Weathersby. I am a product of Franklin Park, Bedford. My family was the second Black person ever moved over there in the area. And we had some rough times, but we're still there today. But, you know, change comes. But I will say this, and I'll put it on record. I'm so tired of people trying to bully us. It has to stop. And I'm not gonna call any names, but I'm sick of it. And stop going to our church, telling our pastor, telling people to make us fold. I'm full, I'm sorry, I'm full. I'm so full, and I oppose this. It's all about doing things decent in order. All day I've been praying, I've been fasting. Do things in decent order, don't go around people. You can say everything that you live around the area and what have you. I get it. But until you right there, you had to walk in our shoes, walk and do everything, you wouldn't understand. And when they said came to let everybody know in the neighborhood, that's not so. Shame on you, city. Shame on you, this developer. Do better. And we do matter. Because you may look at it, and I just said, heard a lot of things, and they said, Good Samaritan, what have you. Well, Good Samaritan, you're north of the bridge. You have a lot of land, just empty, empty, empty. And you're right there by the bridge where all you say the vagrants and everything. What are you doing, Good Sam? And you want to bring your employees there to live? Build something there on your property. But we're still there. We're not going anywhere. We're going to stay there. I don't want you in my face. I don't need phony people. I don't need people coming, calling, emailing me with a bunch of crap. And I'm sick of it. And I've been telling God every night, I can't sleep because I'm so full, because it's foolishness.
I don't mind changing, but help everybody. Be careful who you sell your soul to, because your soul that cheap, be careful. And I'll go by to Psalms 23 and also Psalms 91. And they say faith-based. Come on, people, we got to be better than this. And I heard somebody say one day at one of the meetings, said, oh, that's prime land. Yes, my mom didn't understand that. She was a single mother. She didn't understand. She cleaned toilets and everything to make sure we have a good place to stay. And a lot of people didn't even know we lived over there. Everything was vibrant in the days, but most of those people bought that. And some of the places that we inquired with the city to sell us some of the property, they wouldn't. But then they turned around and sold it to the developers. Shame on you. Shame on you. Go look it. It's public record. I'm not up here lying and saying anything that I don't know. And I'm a retiree. I'm not a beggar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Susan Stecknig.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. My name is Susan Steckney, and I live at 411 8th Street. So I'm going to mention location. 411 8th Street is my address. The Mandel Library is 411 Clematis Street. Use your car odometer. It's exactly half a mile. Brailsford Park is within the downtown area. It's not any other community. It's Brailsford Park. Right there. The location, in 2009, I attended all the meetings in terms of zoning and coming up with the different things that could help our community improve. And then nothing happened. It just remained the same. There was no development, no advancement. And this is a chance to finally have a comprehensive plan rather than just with so many vacant lots in Brailsford, just one thing popping up here, something else there, something there. This is a comprehensive plan. It's wonderful. Everyone on 8th Street loves it. And we're just want to know that we in Brailsford Park support this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call three more names. Start making your way toward the podium. Pamela Reedus, Jennifer Reed, and Jonathan Dwyer, I think. Pamela Reedus.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Commissioner, and city officials. My name is Pamela, and I reside at Madeira Court, which is maybe 100 feet core of the bridge. I am in support. I support this project because I'm tired of a beautiful area just being overlooked. I'm grateful that the developers have came in and done a wonderful job with the outreach and talking to me as a homeowner, explaining everything. So I am supportive of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Reed.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, my name is Jennifer Reed. I live at 433 11th Street in West Palm Beach. This project directly affects me. I'm not opposed to change. I've said that in every meeting, but I'm opposed to so drastic, like aggressive. It's scary. And I want to make a point. Everyone had their, opinion, and I listened to it, and I respect. But some of the comments about the outreach, I live right there. Nobody ever outreached to me at all. They didn't never outreach to me. And also about a Zoom meeting we had in 2020, it was a few. I got the people on the Zoom, and we were just told something was going on and was happening, but we didn't know what it was. Also, the neighborhood, I grew up there, and I've been there 50 years as a child. I grew up in that neighborhood. My mom, she purchased that house, and one of the young ladies said, I love my mango trees. I have 5, so I know how she feels. It's not about, I don't oppose that, but I don't like things happening like it's just us. It's other surrounding communities that will be affected by traffic, it's other neighbors that I spoke to that still haven't sold their homes. And of course, it's some vacant properties there, but they were vacant from the time you purchased them. In the last 8 months, they were purchased and they were left like that. So if you don't upkeep your property, of course it's gonna look like that in that neighborhood, and of course it's drugs, it's crime, but I've been there, no problems. And when you see crime and it happens, call. A lot of them just sit there and they look at it. I call the chief to make sure. So right now, I cannot, I'm against it. I can't vote for it because, like I said, it wasn't any outreach to me, no outreach to me. Also, when they said living in the community and having other people to come and live in the community, that's like you want to throw me out of the community and bring other people there. That's how I felt, and it's just, like I'm really kind of sad about this situation. And, I'm hopeful, but I am sad, and I can get up here and tell you the truth from my heart. I don't have to make up stuff. I wasn't paid to do anything. I'm speaking my heart, and I want everybody to succeed and get what they want, but I want you to think about the people that's there, that's been there for years, and their legacy, their family legacy. My mom left a legacy to me. It wasn't a rental property that they just sold. Anybody could buy a rental property, but if you're there and you're living there and it's your heart and soul, that's what it is. And I really appreciate you guys listening and to me and understanding. Thank you
very much. Jonathan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Durr. I'm a downtown West Palm Beach resident. I'm a local real estate professional here. I'm an active member, board of the directors for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I host the Palm Beach Food and Wine Festival. I'm a Sunfest board member and about half a dozen other hats that I wear here in town. I say all that because I truly eat, sleep, breathe, work, live, and love West Palm Beach. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I've been a downtown resident now here since 2009, and there's no greater place or other place I'd rather live, honestly. As a real estate professional, I can tell you that we need more homes. We need more affordable homes. I'm fielding calls every day from families that are moving here from other states, from people that are moving down because of all the new commercial buildings that we have here. And there's no inventory, whether to buy or to rent. It's just, we need more housing. As a resident, I can tell you that we're gonna need more restaurants. We're gonna need more things to do, more cultural entertainment. And Nora provides all of this. And as a local philanthropist, I can tell you that Ned and Sam and Damien and their team, they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. They've been in support of me and all of my fundraising abilities throughout the years. They used 2 of their venues during the pandemic to supply hundreds of hot meals to local firefighters, police officers, and hospitals for weeks. They didn't have to do that, but they did because they care about their community. So I know that they're gonna care about this project. Most recently, one of their servers was diagnosed with cancer. They took that server in as one of their own, and they held fundraisers for him, and we raised money to pay for all of his hospital bills, and now he is doing great. So again, I'm in full support of this project. I'm in full support of Ned and Sam and Damien and what they want to do, because I truly believe that they do care about this community, because they eat, live, sleep, work, and breathe it just as I do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to call out 3 more names. Mamie Kisner, Darren Studstill, and Kevin Caracciolo. Okay, Kevin. Sorry.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for your service first. I've been here over 29 years, and I have walked the walk. I've been a part of building 53 single-family homes in the Northwest District. I've been a part of building a $5.5 million community center that now has a health clinic to it. So when people talk about being vested, I have walked the walk, and my husband and the community, Tabernacle, has walked the walk. I've been in development for over 30 years, and I am not against development. I keep telling people that. I would not be a part of this community had I not been a part of pushing development. This project concerns me because I've gotten the calls from the people that you're hearing that are crying out for the way they've been, in other words, bullied in this project. I have spoken to the developers and told them there are more than one side to a story. You're talking about a community that's around 72% African American. A lot of the people that spoke tonight don't live in that community. They don't even work in that community. They drive through Palm Beach Lakes, and that's all they see. We're sitting in a gold mine in that community. And yes, it's been neglected. You have a former mayor that was here for 8 years. What happened in the 8 years? I applaud you, Mayor, for even pushing development in that community. But the lack of the respect of the outreach to that community is why I'm opposing it. When you talk about jobs, when you talk about traffic, this is not a dream for those people. This affects them every single day. I'm opposing it until we have something in place that's going to say they're going to be writing them for the right jobs. When you talk about affordable housing, you need to look at the average income in that community. What are we going to do? Move those people out just because someone else needs to move here from Port St. Lucie? These people are hurting, and you need to listen to all the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Darren Studstill.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for your service. I'm Darren Studstill, 401 North Rosemary. I had a whole speech and whole notebook on what I was going to talk about tonight, but let me just do some clearing things and just first say I am the acting president of the Northwest Business Association, and we fully support this project for a lot of reasons. I think the young lady from Pleasant City, I agree from, because I was born in Good Samaritan Hospital. I went to Antioch Church. Now I'm a member of New Bethel Church, and I've invested the last 20 years of my own time and money in the Northwest. So I am a Northwest advocate, and I'm a pro-small minority business advocate. But let me just say something here, and I'm gonna change gears here because I am also a 25-year educator, okay? And I put Ned on an assignment. He didn't know he was on an assignment because my greatest concern is opportunities for our youth. I invited Ned to an event that was at my place, this block party that was here, that Ms. Lockhart had with young people. And I asked him to come. I didn't make it his business to come, but he came. He showed up in the golf cart. I didn't think he was gonna come. I was concerned about the kids and I call them kids, but they're young adults. They came, they was having a great event. And I watched them the whole time. And this is what I find the greatest asset to all of us, especially when you're dealing with young people. You're listening. I watch them walk around and listen the whole entire time, and I was grading them. I've talked to a lot of developers, and I don't think they have or they spend the time with listening to my community. And I'm gonna make it very personal. I saw him do that. That's why I'm putting my name on it. Now, we got a lot of work to do. A lot of process. I have some of the concerns of my community. But one thing I did respect was him to listen. And I've seen a lot of people come in here in the last 20 years I've been back. They say they was gonna do stuff, even from my own community, and the results does not happen. I work at Roosevelt Middle School, and I see parents don't have opportunities to work, two income households in my community. I deal with the effects. I get up at 6:30 every morning, I go to that middle school, and I come over to my business in that community. Nobody can tell me about the Northwest or Pleasant City. We need opportunities. I've been on many committees. We need to close the gap of private-public investment for people like me, the small business who go to college, who play NFL football, come back to this community and want to give opportunities to people that he can affect and change. I need this. I want this to happen. I want my community to not be like the last 20 years when I came back. Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. Kevin. Kevin Caracciolo. Okay. Kevin is in support of the project. All right, the last two cards, and we'll see what we have on the portal. Bryce Graham and Alex LeClanche. Bryce Graham.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, all of you. I want to echo some of the sentiments that have already been said in the chambers tonight. When you talk about development, not opposed to it, but opposed to the fact of community outreach in this project. And I feel that it has been a threat to those in this community that have not been reached out to. And so that's why I am more opposed of the project and would love to see more of the community outreach be done. When you talk about cause and effects, it's affecting everybody. And so when you talk about traffic, you're talking about things that are coming in around this project. It really needs to be looked at, and that's why I oppose the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alex?
Good evening, and thank you all for your service. My name is Alex LeClanche. I actually reside in Jupiter because that's where my wife insists that we live. That being said, my brother does live in Northwood. We are currently have a business interest developing our business in West Palm Beach. I'm standing here before you as somebody that started a business in our garage that is now kind of paving our way in the West Palm Beach warehouse district. One of the things that I've really found in listening to what I think has been an evening full of reason is, as cliche as it may be, I'm a firm believer in the saying that a rising tide lifts all boats. And when I look at some of the love that I've seen from the Northwood area and our interest in the warehouse district, with West Palm being a dream of ours to essentially start cultivating the next chapter of our business, I feel like there's a common sentiment shared, and that sentiment is that everybody seems to really want to, or believes in at least, the progress that this area truly deserves. You know, the running joke that I've said in the past is, you know, Florida's about 10 years late to the party. I honestly feel at times it almost feels like it's about 20. There's a lot of room for opportunity. I'm always motivated by the mural in downtown that says "Dream Bigger, West Palm." I think that's exactly what's happening before you now. Having had the privilege of sitting down and having some think tank sessions with Ned, Sam, and Damien has been exactly that. It's been a privilege. I haven't met Joe yet personally, but I am familiar with his work, having studied much of what he's accomplished with the help of other team members in the Wynwood area, as well as what he's done in St. Pete. I personally believe that he adds another layer of inherent credibility to the project. I think at the end of the day, if I could leave you with one thing, it's that opportunities are rare, and it's even rarer that when an opportunity is discovered, there's a team that I believe is as special as you know, those that are bringing this project forward. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, do we have anything in the portal? Nothing? Okay, so that's all of the public comment. Commissioners, any additional comments, questions? Staff, developer? Commissioner Schoaf?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming out here tonight. We've heard a lot of comments from a lot of people, and I started writing down a couple of things that seem to be common themes. People are here either supporting or not supporting a project, and also that no one indicated that they were against development. So 2 pieces of good news. We have a developer here that's ready to do some development, and we're not voting on a project tonight. So I think that leaves us the opportunity that there is still time to make sure that we are getting some public engagement. So essentially, step number 1 tonight is setting the menu, and it is up to developer and the neighbors to work together to see what we essentially order. So I wanted to ask a couple of questions, Mayor, if I could, from community engagement and kind of looking at that piece of what might move forward.
Staff or the developer?
From the development team.
Okay.
So looking at some of your slides that you have, there's an outlined community engagement process that you're slated to go through. Is that locked in stone? Do we have other ways that we're still reaching out? Because I noticed here too, we have the Mixed Art Salvation Army, but a lot of concerns we heard came out of the actual community itself, not some of the surrounding communities. So do we have a strategy that we might be able to employ to further engage and again, knowing that there's certainly a lot, but we've heard from some that feel like they've been missed in that process. So do we have a strategy to engage those folks?
Well, absolutely. So in terms of set events, I put up the calendar here. These are all set and scheduled. Turismo will continue to make sure that the invites go out and the outreach is more than appropriate. In terms of talking to us, and I can say this to the Reed family in particular, we are always available to have a conversation. Our office is in the neighborhood. My phone number is 305-968-0877. But in all sincerity, we have always been available to talk about any aspect of the project to any neighbor. And candidly, that there's more than one homeowner in this neighborhood. There's actually a lot. You heard several of them speak in favor of the project today. And so we are absolutely open for continued dialogue and here to assist in any way, shape, or form to get the best outcome for everybody involved.
Sure, I appreciate that very much. I think what we heard tonight was a general enthusiasm moving forward, and certainly being the district commissioner of the district moving forward, and both in Pleasant City, Northwood, and beyond, we're looking to certainly bridge that gap. We want to be mindful of everyone's interest. So to the extent that we can continue to work through these things, tonight to me is step number one. Let's set the roadmap, let's set the menu, and then keep working together to figure out what the details are on a project so that we can make sure that we keep those good things going. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Lambert.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who came up and spoke. This was actually one of the most enjoyable public comment session that I have sat up here for the past 4 years. And I'll tell you, I wrote down a lot of the comments, but something else that really struck me about this group of public that came up to speak was not just the diversity of our ethnic backgrounds that spoke today, but we had seniors, we had young professionals, parents, business owners, community leaders, local property owners, faith leaders, educators, military leaders, speaking from all different perspectives. And that was not lost on me on what this project will mean to all of those people, to our city. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much for speaking and sharing with us tonight. One of the things I noted as well, to Commissioner Schoaf's point, is that tonight is not about a project. We did see some beautiful plans, but today is about a comprehensive plan. And we heard a lot of comments about serving as a connection to downtown, to spurring economic impact, to the 2009 industrial chic plans that we put in place that did not create what we wanted it to create. And so I am pleased to see tonight that this comprehensive plan on this agenda, and I look forward to approving that, at least from my vote. I do have a question for staff regarding the difference between the 2009 plan, the comprehensive and the downtown master plan, that we put this in place for the industrial chic plans, compared to today's plan for the Nora district. Obviously, as a layman, I have some thoughts about why I think this would be successful, but I would like to hear from your perspective on why we think that now this will move forward where in 2009 it didn't.
That's a good question. I think the answer from my perspective, the way I see it, is that right now in this proposal, we have not only putting in place a regulation, but bringing the developers interested to bring the investment. The last time we had a regulation, at least the part of Railroad Avenue, that, as I say, it was similar to what they are bringing, but there was no development or private investment behind it. And a neighborhood like this one needs a large investment to work. We try to approach it as like an individual property owner, like maybe doing something in one single parcel or one single property, and it's not enough. It needs more capital to be able to do it. The other thing that is different this time is that we are putting on the north part, north of 10th Street, where the majority of the vacant parcels are, we are increasing the development capacity so to make it attractive for that development to come in and do the investment. So I think it's a combination of the two things, but the regulations, I think the new regulations that we're putting are more creative. We are providing not only better rules for the private investment, but also like with the legacy district that is creating, we're proposing some ways for the current property owners to take advantage of the changes and make benefit from it. So it's not only the new developer that is coming to do the new projects, but the residents and the owners of the existing properties that are remaining, they will be able to capitalize on the new development. So that is also part of it.
Thank you. And I think that learning as we go and learning from what we did in 2009 probably helped us to get to where we are today as well. And to thank you to our partners in the city and to the residents and the business owners who were there. I had one other question, but I'll come back to it.
Okay, Commissioner Warren.
Hi, I'd just like to say that I respect the emotion, the passion, the perspective, and the sentiments of everyone that came and spoke before us this evening. And I do recognize that we are voting tonight on the comprehensive plan amendment and not the project itself. Recognizing that the city's historic makeup has predominantly been 72% African American residents. As we move forward in outreach and engagement, and as we look to recruit businesses into the area, I'm hopeful that I'll hear that that there's an initiative to recruit businesses that reflect the historic dynamic of the community and provide them with an opportunity in this great new NORA district.
Okay. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. I want to first thank everyone who came out tonight. Mrs. Reed, you are such a strong advocate for your community. I want to just bottle you up and take you to all the neighborhoods that I represent because you care so much. Every time I hear from you, it is something that is such, helping positive change in your neighborhood. And so I really appreciate you coming tonight and speaking on behalf of your neighbors. But I also want to say that I've heard from so many people that see the value in this project and the investment in this area and how it's going to change things. I think we've talked a lot about connectivity between Northwood and the downtown. I think it's going to make the entire city feel different. I think, hopefully part of the planning process will also include actually how we will connect downtown to all the areas in between Northwood. How are we actually going to transport people? I've heard some things about traffic tonight. I think we are on a path where we're going to start looking at different opportunities, and we have to because we are many, many years behind, I think, in transporting people around the city. But I think this is having a project like this where people want to go to City Cellar for dinner and then maybe make a stop at the Blind Monk 2.0 and then go to Northwood for, something after. And it makes the whole city change when we have so many different places and things for people to do, and a lot of this in walking distance or a trolley ride away. And so I am really excited about this project. I think it brings so many unique opportunities for our city. I thank you for being a part of it, to Ned and Joe. I think right now we have a lot of interest in the city in the past year that we didn't maybe have 2 or 3 years ago, that you had a real vision for this area. So thank you for that. And I do look forward to working with you and working with the neighbors that have some concerns and see how we can address those as we're moving forward with this plan. But I'm really excited to vote for this tonight, and thank you very much for all you've done.
Very good. Commissioner Lambert, you said you had an additional question?
I did, and really it was just a point, and to reiterate what 2 of my other commissioners have mentioned is just the community, to continue the community outreach as we do move forward on the project itself. Thank you.
Okay, and I think we all need to, again, keep in mind this is only a comp plan amendment. There's a lot of work that will have to be done before the actual site plans approved, project, et cetera. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for us on this dais to have input and opportunity for the community to have input and hear ideas. So, hearing no further comment, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 4984-21 to amend the downtown master plan elements of the comprehensive plan, replacing the industrial chic district, ICD, with the newly established North Railroad Avenue, Nora district, modifying portions of the Brailsford Park district, BPD-R and BPD-5, and allowing for increased height and development capacity in newly designated TDR incentive areas of the Nora district.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 4984-21. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amend the comprehensive plan at the downtown master plan element, policy 1.1.1, policy 2.3.2, and policy 3.1.3 to promote the redevelopment of the area between Quadrille Boulevard, North Dixie Highway, Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, and the FEC Railroad, creating a new North Railroad Avenue District, NORA, removing the existing Industrial Chic District, modifying the existing Brailsford Park District, designating additional incentive areas which allow additional height and development capacity within the North Railroad Avenue District, and designating 2 properties as urban open space, declaring the proposed amendments to be consistent with all other elements of the comprehensive plan, providing a conflicts clause and a severability clause, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. We're now moving into, we'll get a few minutes while people move out. Try to exit as quietly as possible. We're still in the meeting. Let's keep it moving. Quietly, please. I want to go home too. Okay. First of all, commissioners, I need you to, we're entering quasi-judicial, so I need you to make your disclosures. And we will start with Commissioner Fox, if you're ready.
As to this item 9.1, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted.
Is your mic on?
It is. I think it's just.
Okay.
You want me to start over? As to item 9.1, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you. Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you. As to item 9.1, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, nor have I received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Mr. President.
Thank you. As to item 9.1, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, nor have I received any expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made a part of the record.
Commissioner Schoaf?
As to item 9.1, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications, not conducted an investigation, not made a site visit, nor received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
And Commissioner Warren?
As to 9.1, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications, not conducted an investigation, not made a site visit, nor have I received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made a part of the record.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you swear in all witnesses, please?
Everyone wishing to speak on item 9.1, please stand and raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may be seated.
Okay, very good. Item 9.1, resolution number 289-21, a request to abandon a 5-foot wide utility easement within the property located at 2501 South Flagler Drive. Resolution number 290-21, a request to abandon a portion of an alley located west of South Flagler Drive between Sunset Road and Pershing Way. Public hearing of resolution number 291-21, a request for a minor subdivision to approve the plat entitled Briggs Plat. Okay. Who is presenting?
Good evening. For the record, my name is David Lawrence with David Lawrence Architecture. I'm the architect and the planner on the project. You guys have had a long night, so we'll make it simple. This isn't really overly complicated. I would request, and I think the planner agrees with me, that we have one typo on resolution 289-21. Okay, no, that's been, it's on the resolution, it was 2501, but it's 2527, the abandonment of the 5-foot easement. So when the resolution gets read, that should probably get adjusted. So we're before you today because Mr. Handiger is developing his property, and we have two parcels that are about 20,000 square feet, 2501, 2527, to create a third parcel, a third useful parcel, as well as keep the existing historic home. We need to kind of borrow some of the space from the 2501 parcel, and the utility easement comes through it. Now, I'm sorry, not the utility easement, the alley easement. Now, the alley has long since been abandoned, hasn't been used in years. If you look down the aisleway there, it's too narrow to even be used as an effective alley. And we're not asking for all of it to be abandoned. Staff has looked at everything. We've laid all their concerns. We've worked with city utilities and laid all their concerns, and that's how we stand before you today. So we're taking that from two lots to 3 lots. So lot 1, 2, and 3. The shaded areas where we're abandoning the alley, and this other shaded area, as you can see, is utility easement that went literally right underneath the historic building, so it wasn't too terribly effective. So we've moved this utility easement over here between these two newly created parcels, and this gets abandoned so that these two can do this, where this is the final product, where we have this changed utility easement, this alley is abandoned, and we have 3 parcels instead. So pretty straightforward. And I'll answer any questions you might have.
Very good. Any questions of the applicant before staff presents? All right, Mr. Rocha, do you have anything to add?
Good evening. For the record, John Roach, Principal Planner. I don't have anything to add. I just want to put on the record with regards to staff's recommendation of approval based upon all the applicable standards referenced in the agenda item. It is with the condition outlined in Resolution 290-21, which is the compensation of the appraised value of the item, which is consistent with city's policy, which the applicant has agreed to and has actually already made or taken the steps to provide that payment. And as indicated at the beginning, there was that typo within Resolution 289. The address of the easement abandonment is 2527, not 2501. 2501. So staff will correct that, provide that revised resolution to the clerk as necessary. But again, staff is recommending approval subject to all the applicable standards.
Very good. Any questions, comments, commissioners? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 289-21.
Second.
Do they need, Madam City Attorney, should she state for the record the changed address?
No, we'll make that change if it's approved with the change. So just make sure that the movers of the motion for approval approve the change.
You approve the change, Commissioner? You approve the change, Commissioner Lambert, as
Yes.
a second? Okay, they've approved. Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Cards.
There's second resolution.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now it's time
Mayor,
for,
there's a
is there
second-
some in the portal?
There's a second resolution.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
There's 2.
Okay, all right, we got you. Don't leave yet. We got to make sure we get these other ones through. Yes, Commissioner Fox, I'm sorry. That's
Mayor,
true.
I move to approve resolution number 290-21.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Fox.
Mayor, I move to approve Resolution Number 291-21, creating the plat entitled Briggs Plat. This motion is based upon the application submitted, the staff report, factual testimony, and the findings that the request complies with the comprehensive plan and the standards in Section 94-342 of the city's zoning and land development regulations.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Now, okay. You can still thank us again as you're leaving. There we go. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay,
Happy
very
holidays.
good. Now it's time for comments from the public. We do have two cards, Will Davis and Matt Chambers.
Imagine that.
We appreciate your patience.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, city staff, and residents of West Palm Beach. Just a reminder, we had our Shop Small Saturday this past Saturday. It was a huge success for us, specifically with Day by Day, but also other merchants in Northwood Village, and I hope as well as the rest of the businesses in the city of West Palm Beach. Shop Small is not only one day, it's every day for us, so continue and think of those gifts that you want to give out throughout the rest of the year, specifically with the holidays. Gift cards work out great if you can't make up your mind of what to give those individuals. And also we had our Art, Dine, and Design, which was on Friday, which was also a great success for a lot of the individuals coming out and walking off their Thanksgiving calories. We will be having it every last Friday. Only exception is December. We're going to be doing it on the 17th, so it doesn't conflict with the Christmas holiday. So come out, enjoy, do your last minute shopping. For those who procrastinate, we'll have plenty of items for you to shop and finish your holiday shopping. So thank you.
Thank you. Matt Chambers.
Well, I'm going to take all 3 minutes because I know we got a packed audience and they all want to hear me. Next Saturday is the Old Northwood Home Tour. It's an event you don't want to miss. I know you commissioners and mayor, I know you're all coming. Thank you for that. It's going to be a really different event this year. It's going to be an all-day event from 1 to 9. You can come at any time in the daytime to see the gardens, and then at night it's different homes that are on a tour. But I also wanted to talk about the toy drive that we're doing this year again. We do the toy drive every year with the West Palm Beach Police Department and Fire Department. This year they're coming out, the fire department's coming with their antique fire truck. We raise a lot of money for toys and a lot of gift cards that day. And the money all stays locally in the community and the gifts all stay in the community. So if you don't know where to donate for a toy, I know there's a lot of toy drives going on. Ours is next week. Anytime during the week, you can drop off at Day by Day or Stone Button on Northwood Road, or you can come up that day on December 4th up until around 4 o'clock. Santa doesn't get there until 5. So anytime up till 4, you can come to 3510 Spruce Avenue. Look forward to seeing everybody next week. And thanks for everybody's support for Art, Dine, and Design this last week. It was really great to see Northwood Village hopping. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, Commissioners, it's time for your comments, and we will start, as we always do, with the President.
Mr. Mayor, I'm
President.
sorry, I have a
You got some
general
in the
comment that came through the portal. Yes.
Really? Okay. Wow.
Okay, sorry. This comment is from Debbie Finney, 1000 North End, West Palm Beach. Debbie Finney, North End resident, former District 1 City Commissioner, Sylvia Moffitt, qualified to enter the commission race on January 3rd, 2018 as an incumbent and withdrew just 6 days later on Tuesday, January 9th at 11:16 a.m., just 44 minutes shy of the January 9th, 12 noon deadline for contenders to qualify. That move allowed District 1 Commission candidate Kelly Schoaf to slide into public office. Now, 3 years later, District 1 Commissioner Kelly Schoaf qualified to enter the commission race as an incumbent on November 2nd and withdrew 14 days later on Tuesday, November 16th at 11:47 a.m., just 13 minutes shy of the November 16th, 12 noon deadline for contenders to qualify. That move will allow District 1 Commission candidate Kathleen Ward, who qualified on November 16th, an advantage. Many potential candidates are reluctant to challenge incumbents for obvious reasons and therefore prefer to enter races when there are no incumbents. This type of sting disenfranchises potential candidates, deprives voters of choices, and controls who enters a race and who doesn't. No expectation of city officials being rattled by this behavior, considering their own tactics of tucking a $180,000 settlement within the consent calendar and displaying a preferred presidential campaign sign on the podium during a political press conference at City Hall. Hopefully, all deceptions imposed on the public will retreat back to the abyss from whence they came.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll go to Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. I just wanted to take this opportunity, though, to publicly congratulate my colleagues here on the dais on their re-elections. They're without opposition. Commissioner Christy Fox, Commissioner Christina Lambert, congratulations. Thank you for all that you do for West Palm Beach. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you. And to Commissioner Kelly Shove, thank you for all that you do for West Palm Beach. We're certainly going to miss you. I know that this is probably a little early to be saying this because you still have plenty of time to be up here with us and working for the people of West Palm Beach, and I expect that you'll probably continue to do that thereafter. But thank you for your service. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, congratulations, and Commissioner Schoaf, I know that was not an easy decision, and I do thank you for your service. And it is interesting. We all have this phenomenon that happens when our residents realize that we all have full-time jobs in addition to this, in addition to family life and other obligations. So thank you to everybody who serves on this dais. Just wanted to share a few announcements and good news. The South Florida Science Center and Aquarium has recently received a $20 million gift, if you have not heard, and is with that gift is changing the name to the Cox Science Center and Aquarium, and they're using this gift to help fund and spur an additional capital improvement fundraising campaign. Their plans is to increase the aquarium and science center by 130,000 total square feet for STEM education. Just adding to the already amazing programs that they serve in our community, not only helping our residents, but also bringing many visitors to the area. And speaking of the South End and amazing programs going on down there, the zoo also always hosts their annual zoo lights during the holiday time. If you've not been, I encourage you to attend. That will be going on until January 2nd. And then my final comment is actually very sad. I just learned this morning of the passing of a friend of the city, and I'm sure many of you have met him, Joaquin Garcia. Not only is he and his husband have been a long-standing business owner in the South End, he has also been a huge supporter of LGBTQ issues, as well as one of the founders of the Hispanic Education Coalition of Palm Beach County. And his absence in our community will be felt, and I will be sure to pass along information when I hear more about recognizing and celebrating his life. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Fox?
Rolling right into the rest of the holidays, so I just had a few announcements about upcoming events that no one should miss. This Wednesday, December 1st, we will be having the holiday lighting in the Heart and Soul Park. That starts at 5:30. Then on Thursday, we have the Sandy Tree lighting at December 2nd at 6 o'clock. And then I see Officer Buxton back there, and so I definitely don't want to miss that. On Friday, December 10th, the West Palm Beach Police Department and Salento Coffee will be hosting their second annual Coffee with a Cop, the holiday edition. Anyone who brings an unwrapped gift for a child in our community will receive a free cup of coffee and also get to chat with Officer Buxton and his colleagues. So I would highly recommend those things. And I would also like to say that Day by Day is one of the best places to shop for any gifts, including last-minute gifts. I think last year I ran into Commissioner Peduzzi and his family also doing the same thing. So I always get the best things there. I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't been there or just needs some great things. And then I just wanted to say also that it has been my honor to serve the city the past 2 years. I am incredibly grateful to have the opportunity to have 2 more years, and congratulations to you, Commissioner Lambert. Commissioner Schoaf, it is really with great sadness that I'm going to see you leaving this dais, but I know you have many other opportunities, but thank you for all that you do, and I just think it's been a great 2 years with you all. I know we don't always get along, we don't always see eye to eye on every issue, but I think we're all doing the very best we can for the city, so thank you for this opportunity.
Commissioner Schoaf?
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to congratulate my colleagues, Commissioner Lambert, Commissioner Fox. Congratulations on your reelection. To all of you, I do appreciate the kind words. As you all know from having this experience, it's very difficult sometimes to balance your professional life and your personal life. And finding myself at that crossroads, I've always been taught if your arms are too full, you're going to have to put something down before you drop everything. And so the residents of the city of West Palm Beach and of District 1 deserve 100% the efforts that I can give them. And when I found myself unable to be able to do that, I made the decision not to run for re-election in 2022. That being said, there are 2 residents that have qualified. So there will be an election. I suggest to everyone in the city of West Palm Beach, not just District 1, get to know those candidates, and I'm sure that the voters will make a great selection to join you up here on this dais as well. That being said, having been an avid runner for quite some time, the one thing they teach you is that you don't stop running till you hit the finish line. And while there will be a small artificial finish line where I will be done serving the city on this dais, I will still be a 100% advocate of this city and District 1. So the good news for you is that you will be limited to 3 minutes at a time hearing from me now. But from now until April, we've got a lot of work to do. So I have no intentions of slowing down. We are still doing the work and getting out there. So I look forward to the many amazing things we're going to do between now and April and well beyond that as a city. So much respect to you as commissioners, and thank you very much.
Commissioner Warren.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everybody for serving the community and always putting people first. And I want to mention Officer Buxton. I always call him Officer Friendly because that's who he reminds me of from when I grew up. But what I do know is that although he's officer friendly, he does serve and protect, so I wouldn't challenge him. Thank you for being out in the community and passing out the turkeys. And Mayor, I know that you were out distributing turkeys as well, and spending time out in the community. I just thank you for all that you do. We're going to be looking forward to serving the children and doing everything that we can. I will absolutely be attending the 2nd annual Coffee with a Cop on December the 10th from 8 to 10 a.m. and looking forward to people coming out and supporting with gift cards and other contributions for our children that are in need. I would like to just really say, although there have not been any cases identified in the U.S. for the new COVID variant, there is still a COVID pandemic that is going on in our society, and it is so important that we continue to exercise care and that we wear our masks and that we do the things that are necessary to protect ourselves and to protect others, because it's bigger than us. And I just want to encourage everyone to continue to observe the CDC guidelines because COVID has not gone away. And recognizing that there are still opportunities for people to come out and still have a quality of life. There are a lot of restaurants in District 2, in the Village Commons particularly, but in other areas of the city that have open air dining and ways for people to continue to be engaged and continue to have a quality of life. And I do encourage you to do those things and to come out and to support those businesses and to wear your mask when you're inside and then come out and enjoy some of the open air dining that we have in West Palm Beach.
Thank you. I'm not going to be brief. We're going to be here for a while. Just kidding, just kidding. Hope everyone had a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving. And I too want to add my congratulations to Commissioners Fox and Lambert for your reelection without opposition. Job well done. Commissioner Schoaf, I'll save all of the very pleasant things I have for you until April, because I'm not going to, all the meetings we have between now and April, I'm not going to keep repeating myself. So suffice it to say, sorry to see you go. There'll be some other nice things we said. Anyway, actually, Commissioner Warren, your comments are very apropos in light of this latest variant, the Omicron variant. Just wanted to remind everyone about the importance of COVID prevention measures that should be ingrained in our memory now. Wearing a mask in public indoor settings, washing hands frequently, social distancing. And if you haven't gotten the vaccine, get it. And if you've gotten it, you probably should get a booster. A couple of things to brag about for the city. First, the Human Rights Campaign Foundation has rated West Palm Beach with a better than perfect score for LGBTQ equality. The 2021 Municipal Equality Index scorecard examines how inclusive are the municipal laws, policies, and services of and to the LGBTQ people in our community. I want to give a special thanks to my LGBTQ liaison, Robert Telford, for all of his hard work in making this rating possible. A couple of weeks ago, the city and the West Palm Golf Community Trust broke ground on the future West Palm Golf Park Clubhouse. Very, very exciting. While out there, I was able to see all of the work that's going into the golf course. And more than one person who was familiar with golf courses and the development of them said that this course will be spectacular. One person who is very experienced in the golf industry said that our golf course will be on the bucket list of golf courses to play. Not my words, theirs, but it's going to be very exciting. We're expecting to cut the ribbon on the golf course in early 2023, so stay tuned. Encourage everyone to join us for Holiday in Paradise, Clematis by Night on Thursday, and the lighting of Sandy. Sandy will be celebrating her 10th birthday. She doesn't look a day over 9. Holiday in Paradise is in the running for Best Public Lights Display by USA Today 10 Best. Reader's Choice. I encourage everyone to vote for Sandy. That would be a nice birthday gift for her. Information about these announcements can be found at WPB.org. And I do want to publicly thank Buchan Provisions, Ember Group, our Public Works Department, and as well as my Chief of Staff, Rebecca De La Rosa, for putting together an event that produced 1,000 boxes of food to nonprofits in the city. And it is estimated that those boxes together will feed an estimated 10,000 people during the Thanksgiving season. Buchan Provisions, which is the foundation affiliated with the group of restaurants under the Buchan umbrella, all donated time and money to the initiatives. We had several city employees who stepped up and volunteered, and it was a pleasure to go out and see that effort and know that so many people were going to be blessed during the holiday season. And happy Hanukkah to all those who celebrate it. And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.